Well, well, well. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. What a brilliant day. A brilliant day it is that we're all together once more. Whale, whale, whale. Whale, 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 whale. Eat the whale meat. Eat the whale meat. You know, if you weren't watching Delta play Dishonored yesterday, then it probably doesn't make any sense. But trust me, you should be watching Delta Rain play Dishonored. All times. All times. In the morning times, in the evening times. You know who else you should follow is the Happiest Collie, streaming Dinkum, sometimes. And also Fries Discount. Freeze Discount. Fries Discount. I feel like it's Freeze. I don't know why. But you should follow all of those lovely people. Hey, King Kaiser, welcome. I'm doing well. How about you? How are you today? It's so lovely to see you all. Welcome to another beautiful, lovely night together of fun Morrowind reading time. What a day. What a lucky day. We have so much gaming goodness ahead of us. I just can't wait to get started. Thank you, iios, for posting in Teacher's Pet, or being the Teacher's Pet. Ahoy there. Hey, welcome, Collie. It's so good to see you. Yeah, congrats on that courtesy VIP, Collie. Now you are part of the problem, once again. Hentai Runner, thank you so much for the 12 months. You are now an adult frog. Hentai, it's so good to see you. Thanks for jamming. Yeah, Fries, welcome. It's good to see you. Massidio, welcome. Fermi, how's it going? I don't know what frog is in French. And also, don't ask me to say any French words, because I definitely cannot at all. Period. Whatsoever. FYI, big news. Yahoo is cheaper, okay? We just made the price of Yahoo is plummeting. Yahoo! Yeah. Yahoo it up. Yeah, for me, I actually just like made the 100 bits redeem cheaper. I can maybe test it. Or not cheaper, I'm sorry. I made the 100 bits sound louder is what I meant to say. So that's great. You literally cannot cheer in your own channel. Okay, well, I'm not going to try and pirate, but rest assured it is now louder than it was. But for me, thank you so much for the 100 bits. I appreciate it. Welcome, Trappy. How's it going? Hey, Abby Paula. It's good to see you. Dusty Cornbread. Good evening. Good day. Good day, you Dusty Cornbread. You still can't remember what frog is for me? Yeah. You know, pronouncing French words intimidates me greatly. I'm 99% sure every time I say any French word, I'm saying it wrong. It's a deal. Hey Hugh and welcome. So lovely to see you all. I hope you've all had a great week. I know I have. It's been busy. We did some things. We launched a little thing called September. I don't know if you've heard about this, but that happened. You're doing good. That's great, King Kaisel. Ahoy, welcome, Lord D. It's great to see you. Yeah, summon those cats on in. Oh shit, the cat cam is all messed up. What's up with the cat cam? God, I hate... OBS is so busted. OBS is like actually so busted. It's like these groups are shared. Oh, it's so weird. Okay, well that's fine. I know what's wrong, but it's actually very annoying. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Hey Paleo, welcome. It's like sometimes OBS wants to share references to stuff, and sometimes OBS is like, no, this is a different thing.
Question quickly. I must be going.
Cats are in a gaseous state. They do seem to be really good at slinking their way through that very tiny cat hole door. And our cat, oh, this is all screwed up now. Right, because this is, okay, I need to... We've got to do some stream surgery, everybody, okay? Oh shit, and I still have music on. That's dumb. Okay, now the music is off. Oh, this is so confusing now. Okay. If that goes away entirely. Which one is this? Yeah. Get rid of that too. We swap over to this scene. Okay, now we have no Mario at all. Or now we have no cat hole at all. Sorry, 1 second. And the cat text is all it's all messed up, everybody, okay? It's a shambles. It's an absolute shambles. Okay, we've got this. We can do it. It comes down here. That goes there. That'll work. That'll basically work, actually. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I had it bigger for Mario. We'll fix it later. Anyway, welcome. Sorry about that. Welcome back. Yeah, what state are cats? What molecular state are cats in your experience? Tell me. Hey, J Botic, welcome. Yo, some epic WoW grinding going on the J Botic channel. I was watching for a long time yesterday, actually. Hey, Block, welcome. We're gonna get started here. We're gonna continue our endless quest to read every book in Vardenfell. Every book in Morrowind will succumb to our speaking, our oral recitation. It will succumb to our oral recitation. Hey, Magic Pen, welcome. Yeah, so good to have you. Advent Cam, yeah, it's like a torpedo, where the photon torpedoes go in that their cat hole. You'd say cats are more of a non-Newtonian fluid. Hugan, you know what I have a problem with? Non-Newtonian things. It just doesn't jibe with my understanding of everything. What does it mean for a fluid? At the risk of opening up a very big rabbit hole, a very big bag of worms, a very big misuse of various idioms. What makes a fluid non-Newtonian, chat?
I don't know if I can help you, but I'll try.
Oh, you interesting run challenge. Yeah, hey Moosey Fate, welcome. Yeah, it's interesting, all right. We are here for it. We are so here for it. Yeah, reading every book, every single book. We have a spreadsheet to help us keep track. You know, we walked into that building, it was nighttime, and now that we're done reading, it's daytime again. Just that realism in Morrowind is incredible. Just like the fact that we can't even trot around the world without losing stamina. I guess well, we went to the Guild of Mages. I guess now we go to the Guild of Fighters. The Guild of Fighters. Incredible. I can't believe you're the only one streaming under the birds eating other birds tag, iios. Well, as you told me, Paleo, it's a pretty rare phenomenon. You know, that I would say we should all be talking about way more often. I wonder what crayon generates for each of those. Yeah, I don't know. Literary time travel. Yeah, you start reading, Holly, and then when you close the book, it's like, boom, it's like 80 hours have passed in real life. That's what playing Morrowind is like. Advancement. I can't advance you yet, Dark Elf. You interested in joining the Fighters Guild? Probably. Balmora Fighters Guild. You are in the Balmora Guild of Fighters now. I am the guild steward. Wait, I'm in it already? Thank you, Austin, thank you, yeah. No, I appreciate it. I was gonna click it too, I was just pausing for a second. A non-Newtonian fluid is a fluid that does not follow Newton's laws of viscosity. See, that seems like a bad name, okay? If you need to name something in terms of what it's not a good name. Constant viscosity independent of stress. Yeah, so like pushing on it makes it like, changes its viscosity. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Well, that's too damn bad. That's too damn bad, KQ. I sure, get in line, KQ. Because this is the content. This is what we're doing now. This is who we are now. KQ, thank you so much for the 16 months. I so appreciate it. It's been so lovely to have you. I can hardly believe it has been that long that we've spent together. Yeah, where's this poll gonna land? I don't want to look at it now until it's all the way done. Well, welcome everybody. I hope you all had a great week. I had a busy week, but I am so happy to see you here tonight for us to experience more of the lovely, the unsurpassed Morrowind. Hey, Kate-chan, welcome. How are you? iios, she's our champ. If she can't do it, no one can. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Requirements. The guild selects for strength and endurance. Stewards accept only those proficient with long blade, axe, and blunt weapons. Guildsmen must know how to block and how to fight in heavy armor. Guildsmen must also provide for the repair and upkeep of their armor. We might be able to do this, can we? You look like you could take care of yourself. Before I sign you up, you might want to look at the Fighters Guild charter. Are you ready to sign up now? Read the charter. This is really cool. Like, I'm not sure if cats are plasma. Yikes. Kind of, it explains so much, though. I feel like I'm not sure if we would be able to join these guilds no matter what, or if the class we chose is related to it. We chose Bard as our class, which gave us a bunch of the skills that these things are looking for, but I hope you're streaming under the I can't believe only one person is streaming under the birds eating other birds tag. It's pretty meta, Moosey. Yeah. Yeah, Paleo should be, though. Paleo should be bringing attention to the birds eating other birds phenomenon. Bird cannibalism is running rampant in our society. Your duties are to your lords and brethren, and always proceed with honor and valor. Keep a keen and watchful mind, and never succumb to the craven tricks of the weak. As a member, you are permitted to use items in our equipment chest. It is traitorous to fight or thieve from other members of your guild. If you break these rules, you must speak with at least a warder of the guild to redeem your standing. Do you feel you can uphold these simple ideals? You bet! You are now iios, the associate in the Fighters Guild. Work hard, follow orders, and you'll do just fine. Seek me out if you feel you are ready for advancement. Cool. Advancement. Your talents are noteworthy, but some question your depth of devotion. Perform more duties for the Fighters Guild, and you will earn your place. Balmora Fighters Guild. Associate, what can be said? We are the few, the proud, the underpaid. Har har har. Equipment chest. You'll find basic supplies, arrows, bolts, healing potions. If you need more healing than that, head to the temple. We're able to resupply the chest once in a while, but don't count on it. Fighters Guild. It's simple, iios. The citizens give us duties in gold, and I pass some of them on to you. When you're ready for advancement, just come ask me, and I'll tell you if you're ready or not. Orders. I have a very simple contract to end an infestation of cave rats. You might be able to handle it. Cool. Tell me more. Go to Droraine Thalos' house. It's here in Balmora, along the river on the east side. Ask her where the rats are coming from. Kill the rats and get your payment from Droraine Thalos. I have a hard time distinguishing E's and C's in this game. Report back to me once you've taken care of this. Your journal has been updated. Amazing. Rules. Great. Join. We're already a member. And then she can train us. She won't train us. Okay, great. I've always wanted a pool with Oobleck and run across it. Yeah, but then if you slipped inside of it, Hugin, wouldn't you like immediately drown?
You've got my ear.
Right?
Let's hear it.
Because it would thicken around you your weak thrashing would only make the non-Newtonian fluid resist more. Hey, Bluefront, welcome. Corn R... What is corn? Corn R pickle? Corn R pickle, Bluefront. I'm entering an agreeable phase of streaming. I'm gonna, you say it in chat, I'm gonna say, yeah. Corn R pickle. Bluefront, hell yeah. Scooey. Welcome, adventure. Looking for an equalizer? Something to give you an edge against a superior opponent. When you need to do a lot of damage in a hurry, you can't beat a poisoned blade. Try my inexpensive iron spider dagger and steel spider blade or an imperial netch blade for even more bite. Latest rumors. They say the Legion gives out good armor to their best recruits. Any advice? Nobody is going to coddle you in the Fighters Guild. In the Imperial cult, they give you stuff that old ladies could do in their sleep. But here you get in line for work, and if something comes to you that is out of your depth, you're supposed to be smart enough to back off and come at it again later when you have the equipment and chops. Little secret. Keep your weapons sharp and your armor in good shape. Okay, Morrowind lore. By Redoran customs, killing is justified in war, self-defense, defense of property, affairs of honor, and house wars affairs. Other killings are foul murder and must be punished, the bad kind. The guild steward here in Balmora is Idis Fireeye. Fighters Guild? Yes, this is the Fighters Guild. Idis Fireeye is the steward. Talk to her if you're thinking of joining the Fighters Guild. Barter. Dwarven Jinx Sword. So, like, weapons that do like paralyzing damage, essentially. It's interesting that they model poison just as like direct damage, like additional damage to health. So right now we're wearing light armor, which seems like a decent choice because I do want to use spells. I feel like spells are really where it's at. I guess this chitin armor is pretty good. It's the best light armor I've seen so far. Cool. Well, see ya. Repair. All good.
All right, I'm listening.
Hi, Facile Carousel. What was his name? Wayne? Silly putty is one of the most common non-Newtonian fluids people have interacted with personally. Something that flows when left alone, but you can bounce it or rip it in half when moving quickly. That's very interesting, Austin. I guess I never really put two and two together, but that makes a ton of sense. Birds regurgitating other birds, but in reverse tag. Now that has got some legs on it, I think. Any advice? If you're considering a mercenary career, the Fighter's Guild isn't too choosy. No, don't take offense. I mean, they're just relaxed, easygoing, give along, get along. Legion is a lot tougher outfit and fussy about ends and means, if you follow me. And those House Redoran people, well, they are tough and sharp, but tiresome in the duty and honor line. Training? So once we get rich, we can come and just mass train our skills, is partially what I'm getting here. Oh, equipment chest. What do we got? Yo! Yo, there's so much money here. Yo, I'm taking it all. Right? We've got to drop some of our weight. Yo, pink shoes, welcome. Yo, I'm taking it all, guild. Thank you. That's incredible. I could take the bolts too. But that has weight actually. Weight is actually gonna be a problem for us. I have way too much stuff right now. Amazing. We just got like almost like equivalent to our current
What's your story?
amount of gold in potions there. Potions seem like the de facto currency of this game. Like actually, it's like ultimately potions are going to be where it's at. Oh, an empty bedroom, you say, smells like opportunity for iios. Maybe not right there, but here. F. Ha. Success. 5 gold. The soul gem. Scuttle. I guess a ring is good. Just lay on your back like when you fall in quicksand. Ah, is that the secret? To just fall on your back in quicksand. I never thought about it, but now I know. So when I do fall in quicksand, now I'll know what to do, Hugin. Thank you. Thank you, Hugin. I guess you can totally pickle corn, so shrugging emoji. Yeah, you totally can. Actually. Feels like a skit. You can pickle that. Okay. Oh, and now it's like a combat area.
Speak freely, friend.
Speak freely, friend. Haspat, Antabolus. Okay.
Watch your step.
Lania, Amulisus. At least the names are consistent. And dare I spy a book in the background? I'd still panic. Yeah, KQ. Your Fitbit would tell you you're in the zone. Your Fitbit would be like, this is very good for you. Keep going. You can do it. And that would encourage you to fight through.
Ahoy there.
Fight through the quicksand. Hey, welcome. Ahoy there, Rivet. Welcome. Goodness, I generated 45 plasma cat images in total, and you got lucky. Most of them are terrifying nightmare cats. Oh my. Creatures of our deepest dreams and deepest desires. Zone minutes. Yeah, thanks for the ahoys, everybody.
Ahoy there.
Fighters Guild. Services are cheap and get cheaper as you advance in rank, but since Soaring Hardheart, the new guildmaster, deposed my old friend Perseus Mercius, things have gone a bit sour. My advice is to watch yourself with Hardheart and his cronies. They got more ambition than sense. Go see Perseus Mercius in Aldrune and listen to what he tells you. Foyata. Okay, I've read that like 10 times. Ahoy, Magic Man, ahoy.
Yes.
What's this? A wooden staff, a silver staff. Greetings, citizens. I'm Flania Amiulusis. Welcome to Balmora. We're a House Halalu town and loyal citizens of the Empire. What can I do for you? I guess nothing. Drill master and journeyman. Okay. There's a spear skill in this? You and your broken Fitbit. Wait, it's broken? KQ was telling us how good it was working. Just last night. KQ was explaining how it's working great. Perseus McMercius. Alright, here we are. The Imperial Charter of the Guild of Fighters. And here's our browser. And here's our games sheet. Let's find it. Make it big. Imperial Charter of the Guild of Fighters. Okay, and now I swap over, also in this browser, for reasons. Let's get to it. Do it to it. Okay. It's another book down. That's 30 books read. Very exciting stuff here. Imperial Charter of the Guild of Fighters. You found that Souls-like games are the best for achieving weekly zone minute goals. My heart rate gets up in competitive multiplayer games. You gotta be playing that Fortnite, KQ. You get in the zone in Fortnite, okay? And you get those minutes. Those fit minutes. Purpose. The Guild of Fighters provides employment to free swords and mercenaries and contracts to loyal citizens. Citizens may contract with the Guild for removal of creatures and pests, the delivery of goods on dangerous routes, the collection of beasts for the arenas, and other duties defined by the Guild stewards. Authority. The Guild of Fighters was established under the Section 4 of the Guilds Act, and this charter was first confirmed under the potentate Versidue Shaye in the 321st year of the Second Era. 3. Rules and procedures. Any member of the Guild of Fighters who strikes or steals from another member shall be expelled from the Guild. Readmittance is at the discretion of the Guild stewards. It's who you know. Citizens who contract with the Guild of Fighters may have a dispute may appeal first to the Guild steward who accepted the contract, and second with the authorities of each province. I could probably have unprotected sex with 30 men, one right after the other, and it would be totally fine.
Meaning of life. Can you grant me some better accolades than this?
How did that get there? Did I put that there? I thought that was supposed to be a follow alert, not a random bits alert. But thank you, Fermi. Oh, there, I forgot, you know, I make these alerts and there's so many of them, you just forget about them, you know? Does that one play? Is that one good though? Do you like it, chat? Do you like it? Thank you, Fermi, for the 42 bits. Ahoy there, welcome, Delta. Hey, Obadza. How's it going? See if he has a McChicken McNugget McBurger. We can only hope. Perseus Mercius will rue the day that he crossed us. The Guild selects membership requirements. The Guild selects candidates who are strong and healthy, hardy and hale. A candidate must have some proficiency with long blades, axes, blunt weapons, and shields. Guildsmen must be able to use and maintain heavy armor. Applications for membership. Candidates must present themselves to the steward of the guild hall for examination and approval. Attachment A, Fighters Guild chapters in Vardenfell District, province of Morrowind. Chapters are established in guild-owned freestanding guild halls in the towns of Aldrune and Balmora. The chapter in Cedrith Miraz is established in the Wolverine Hall under lease from the Telvanni Council. The chapter in Vivek is established in the foreign quarters under lease from the Tribunal Temple. Victory! Fuck you, book! Fuck you! Read it.
Yes.
Hey, welcome, Miss Fortune. iios, nice. Oh, there's a trapped door. Wait, well, how do I... What have you done with Perseus Mercius?
I'm listening.
Are they not here? Let's see. Yeah, welcome, Delta. Welcome, everybody. Delta, it was so much fun watching you play Dishonored yesterday. Just, you know, killing those baddies. Slicing them down.
All right, I'm listening.
Scooey. Door to Balmora. I guess we're out. Okay, so this puts us... And this is the square we've been walking around in. Okay. I've talked to the armorer. We've now talked to both the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild. You know what's funny? This is our running speed in the game, okay? This is our walking speed. But we have to walk, or we risk running out of stamina. And if you run out of stamina, you can't hit shit and you die. Yo, Cassie, welcome. Iios. Happy Thursday, good to see you. Okay, we've covered a lot of the western side of Balmora. We have... Let me back up for just a second here. We have a couple... Nice armor, by the way. We have a couple of areas in town we need to look at. We need to go up into that upper district. We need to finish the lower district, just going straight through there. And then to the right of us, we need to cross the river and go to the other set of buildings over there. So if we're lucky, we'll see all of that today. Yeah, you know, if guards are in your way, Delta, it's well within your rights to, you know, put a shiv in their lower back. Okay, we've read some of these. Some of them. We've read some of these. Yo, Avatar, what up? Welcome. Oh.
What is this about?
Oh. Oh. Hey, Fermi, welcome.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Welcome.
Sarah.
You know, it's not just one bookshelf. Oh my. Oh my. Hey, Blogger, welcome. We've read the brief history. We've read a lot of these books. Hey, welcome, Graham Weldon. Oh my good fucking god. This is, wow. Oh, cool, another book up here. Yay. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Yay.
Avatar's here, time to skedaddle. Yep. Classic Avatar. Avatar scares off all the riffraff. They're restricting you to NPC movement speeds, and those NPCs have some casual as heck movement speeds. I guess that makes sense. I do enjoy the element where we can get faster by like upping our attributes. I think that's cool in general as a mechanic. Okay. So our policy so far has been you find a book, you read a book. You find a book, you read a book. So yes, I guess that means that we get started reading these books. Let's see, friends. Biography of Baron Zaya, Volume 1. We've read it. Aha. Aha. Biography of Baron Zaya, Volume 2. Wonderful. Amazing. Them's the rules. Hey, I didn't make the rules. You know? Y'all, you did, chatter. You made the rules. This is fun. This is good content. You know, I refuse to let the queen flex its big bookshelf over me. I see what's happening here. I see what the deal is. The game is like, yeah, look at all these books. You're not gonna read these fucking books. That's what the game is saying right now to us. The game is calling us not gamer enough. And I refuse. I refuse to take that. So we're gonna read these books, okay? And thank you, people who were viewing. I understand if you don't watch this. Maybe. No, this is great content. You should watch it. Exciting things are gonna happen. You're waiting for an airplane? You're drunk waiting for an airplane, Avatar? That's ultra fancy. KQ, I genuinely had the thought of walking to my gate. Why don't people dress up for flights anymore? Yeah, make it a whole experience, Avatar, you know? Wearing shorts, by the way, so I'm a bastard. Yeah, you're bringing down the average, you're bringing down the average fanciness of the airport Avatar of all places. Do better. Make sure you take your shoes off in flight. Yeah, any other ways that to class up an airplane ride? Tuxedo flyer. Here we go. This is the best Morrowind reading stream on Twitch. Thank you, Vlog. That means so much. Biography of Queen... By the way, this is, I think, the third longest book series in the game. Queen Baranzaya, this book series. Biography of Queen Baranzaya, Volume 2, by Stern Gamboge. Okay, let's do this, though, okay? Let's do a prediction. Okay. I'm gonna do a prediction, and it's gonna be... Oh, whoops. It's gonna be... I'm not gonna say it. Alright, if you're here right now, you can put in a prediction. How many pages is this book gonna be? Is it gonna be over 40 pages? Is it gonna be under 40 pages? You only have 1 minute, so people can't, you know, get the answer too fast. It becomes far more listening than watching. Yeah. You have to elevate a foot right now, so having something to listen to works out. Well, I'm glad. I'm very glad that that's the case. Over 40 pages, under 40 pages. Over 40 pages, under 40 pages.
Give the cats a treat, Eos wave.
Eos wave. Do you want to give the... Oh, how lovely. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Cat treat. Cat hole treat time. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Cat hole treat time.
Yay.
Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Sweetie Pie, get in there,
Yay.
sweetie. She's so... There she goes. She just really needs space. There we go. Thank you, Lordy. Thank you. Do-do-do. Cat hole time. I can't tell if there's another cat outside that cat hole door. So polite, aren't they? Aren't they so polite? They both freak out anytime I touch like a crackly bag. They're like, pop. Treats, treats. So close, they're almost kissing. Aww. This is Sweetie Pie on the left, and then on the right is Mini Pie. Very precious. Very, very precious. Almost as precious as KQ's dog. Everybody's pets. All pets are precious. What was that? Aww. A little bit of territorialness going on. How can she slap? How can she slap? Wow. Slap. Yeah, I get it though. You know, I get it. All right, thanks for the prediction, everybody. Thank you for predicting. Here we go. The first volume of this series told the story of Baranzaya's origin, heiress to the throne of Mournhold, until her father rebelled against his excellency, Tiber Septim I, and brought ruin to the province of Morrowind. Thanks largely to the benevolence of the emperor, the child Baranzaya was not destroyed with her parents, but reared by Count Sven of Darkmoor, a loyal imperial trustee. Hey, welcome, Para. Welcome, Nightmare Thief. How are you? Oh, good. A recap. Yeah, the first 2 pages at least, you know. She grew up into a beautiful and mark my words, blog, blog, blog. They will use the same recap word for word after we finish this book. Oh, don't worry, Avatar. The 3rd volume of this series will include a recap of this book and the book that preceded this. Into a beautiful and pious child, trustful of her guardian's care. This trust, however, was exploited by a wicked orphan stable boy at Count Sven's estate, who, with lies and fabrications, tricked her into fleeing Darkmoor with him when she turned 16. After many adventures on the road, they settled in Riften, a Skyrim city near Morrowind borders. The stable boy, Straw, was not altogether evil. Here, I'm gonna... just while we're sitting here, I'm gonna make this cat cam bigger. Yeah. Yeah. Priorities. Yeah, so good to see you, Nightmare Thief. So good to see you as well, Pyra. I hope you had a great week. We just stumbled upon a massive, massive load of books It's a frightening, it's a staggering number of books. Who with lies and fabrications tricked her into fleeing Darkmoor with him when she turned 16. After many adventures on the road, they settled in Riften, a Skyrim city near the Morrowind borders. I've been there! The stable boy, Straw, was not altogether evil. He loved Baronzaya in his own selfish fashion, and deception was the only way he could think that would cement possession of her. Which part of this is not evil? She, of course, felt only friendship toward him, but he was hopeful that she would gradually change her mind. Wow. Wow. Straw got friend-zoned. Hardcore. Hardcore by the recap. Why would a stable boy be evil? They work with horses. Such pure creatures. Yeah. Gotta watch out for those stable boys with the wanderlust. Yeah, they'll take away your little princesses. Stable boy friend-zone saga. He wanted to buy a small farm and settle down into a comfortable marriage, but at the time his earnings were barely enough to feed and shelter them. Yeah, classic. Friend-zoned like a little bitch. After only a short time in Riften, Straw fell in with a bold, villainous Khajiit thief named Terry, who proposed that they rob the Imperial Commandant's house in the central part of the city. This is all recap. Terry said that he had a client, a traitor to the Empire, who would pay well for any information they could gather there. Cool, Avarice. Very cool. Hey, welcome, Peter Shoes. It's good to see you. How are you? Baronzaya happened to overhear this plan and was appalled. She stole away from their rooms and walked the streets of Riften in desperation, torn between her loyalty to the Empire and her love for her friends. In the end, loyalty to the Empire prevailed over personal friendship, and she approached the Commandant's house, revealed her true identity, and warned him of her friends' plan. The Commandant listened to her tale, praised her courage, and assured her that no harm would come to her. This was none other than General Symmachus, who had been scouring the countryside in search of her since her disappearance, and had just arrived in Riften, hot in pursuit. He took her into custody and informed her that, far from being sent away to be sold, she was to be reinstated as the Queen of Mournhold as soon as she turned 18. Until that time, she was to live with the Septim family in the newly built Imperial City, where she would learn something of government and be presented at the Imperial Court. At the Imperial City, Baronzaya befriended the Emperor Tiber Septim during the middle years of his reign. Tiber's children, particularly his eldest son and heir Pelagius, came to love her as a sister. The ballads of the day praised her beauty, chastity, wit, and learning. On her 18th birthday, the entire Imperial City turned out to watch her farewell procession. Wait, what? Preliminary to her return to her native land, sorrowful as they were at her departure, all knew that she was ready for her glorious destiny as sovereign of the Kingdom of Mournhold. The book ends? I swear to God, the first book was like 50 pages long. What? No, this is a different one. This is not the biography of Baronzaya. It's the true story of Baronzaya is the long version. I must have read the real story of Baronzaya. Whoa, payout. Hell yes. That was way under 40 pages. Uh-oh. That is under 40. That is an under 40 result. There. Oh, got him. Sorry about that. I mixed them up. Okay, then I actually didn't read Swerve. Boy, I was settling in for another 50 pages of that crap. This means that we actually have not read these. Okay. Okay, are you following? Are you keeping up? We actually did not read these books. Misrepresentation. In narration. In competitive narration. We read the real story. Probably under R. The real Baronzaya. I thought we read part 1. I don't think I read just part 2. I guess we did read part 2. Part 2 is down here. Okay, I gotta get this double spreadsheet crap figured out. Okay, real Baronzaya is down here. We did, actually, I do... Okay, we just read Biography of Queen Baronzaya Volume 2. Now we read Biography of Queen Baronzaya Volume 1, which covers all of the events we already read in the real story of Baronzaya Volume 1. Beta soy stable boy. Oh, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Chaste as fuck. Yeah. I love that Sweetie Pie is still guarding the cat hole. Imagine mixing up your Morrowind books. This stream is so unorganized. Can't watch. Pfft, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand how these streamers, can't just get their shit together, Collie. You know, you were doing it, Collie. It was easy, right? What was the biggest surprise of streaming for the first time, Collie? What was something you noticed? Biography of Queen Baranzaya by Stern Gamboge, Imperial Scribe. Late in the Second Era, a girl child, Baranzaya was born to the rulers of the Kingdom of Mournhold in what is now the Imperial Province of Morrowind. She was reared in all the luxury and security befitting a royal dark elven child until she reached 5 years of age. Okay, well, it makes sense in retrospect why the book was absolutely dragging straw, because it's like the official account. But in real life, though, I feel like Baranzaya liked straw a lot. We are raiding Collie tonight, yeah, assuming Collie is streaming. Fuck yeah, let's train all these viewers on into Collie. Chat is hard. I forgot I was even playing a game. Yeah, I know, Collie. It's because you were playing the game of games, you know. The game outside without the game. You know, you have the game within the game, and games within games, games eating other games. At that time, His Excellency Tiber Septim the first Emperor of Tamriel, demanded that the decadent rulers of Morrowind yield to him and institute imperial reforms. Trusting to their vaunted magic, the Dark Elves impudently refused until Tiber Septim's army was on the borders. An armistice was hastily signed by the now eager Dunmer, but not before there were several battles, one of which laid waste to Mournhold, now called Almalexia. Little Princess Baranzaya and her nurse were found among the wreckage. The Imperial General Symmachus, himself a dark elf, suggested to Tiber Septim that the child might someday be valuable, and she was therefore placed with a loyal supporter who had recently retired from the Imperial Army. Sven Advensen had been granted the title of Count upon his retirement. His fiefdom, Darkmoor, was a small town in central Skyrim. Count Sven and his wife reared the princess as their own daughter, seeing to it that she was educated appropriately, and more importantly, that the imperial virtues of obedience, discretion, loyalty, and piety and chastity were instilled in the child. In short, she was made fit to take her place as a member of the new ruling class of Morrowind. Oh god, they killed her. No, they didn't. They didn't kill her. She's Baranzaya's... We haven't read the end of the story yet, Avatar, okay? We don't know how it ends. The girl Baranzaya grew in beauty, grace, and intelligence. She was sweet-tempered, a joy to her adoptive parents and their 5 young sons, who loved her as their eldest sister. Other than her appearance, she differed from young girls of her class only in that she had a strong empathy for the woods and fields, and was wont to escape her household duties and wander there at times. She's, truly cottagecore, Baranzaya. Yeah. Such a witch. Baranzaya was happy and content until her 16th year, when a wicked orphan stable boy, whom she had befriended out of pity, told her he had overheard a conspiracy between her guardian, Count Sven, and a Redguard visitor to sell her as a concubine in Rihad, as no Nord or Breton would marry her on account of her black skin, and no Dark Elf would have her because of her foreign upbringing. I long for the fields, so... I know. Yeah. Just gazing wistfully out the window. At the grass, the pollen. Armistice. Been trying to escape my household duties for years. You haven't ever eloped away from your household duties? Collie, somehow in my head I imagine you being on some kind of you're essentially like Dinkum but in real life. Yeah. You know, you have some kind of it's like a ranch. It's off on the happiest little ranch. The happiest Collie. Whatever shall I do, the poor girl said, weeping and trembling, for she had been brought up in innocence and trust, and it never occurred to her that her friend, the stable boy, would lie to her. The wicked boy, who was called Straw, said that she must run away if she valued her virtue, but that he would come with her as her protector. Sorrowfully, Baranzaya agreed to this plan, and that very night she disguised herself as a boy, and the pair escaped to the nearby city of Whiterun. So Dinkum, selling wattle flowers for dollary dues. Yeah. Yeah, heck yeah, yes. Can you have a brief tactical elope before anyone even noticed? Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. The strategic, the razor thin elopement. After a few days there, they managed to get jobs as guards for a disreputable merchant caravan. The caravan was heading east by side roads in a mendacious attempt to elude the lawful tolls charged on the imperial highways. Thus, the pair eluded pursuit until they reached the city of Riften, where they ceased their travels for a time. They felt safe in Riften, close as it was to the Morrowind border, so the Dark Elves were enough of a common sight. Check. You know what? When I was in middle school, I used to have a teacher who was actually like an English teacher, and she would read books to the class, okay? And she would sit up in front of the class, and she would just like insert words every sentence. She would not read the words, but she would read what she thought was the gist of the words. And it drove me so fucking crazy because it was just like her half-assed narration of like a worse version of the book that we were reading. And it was like, sometimes you do that with chat sometimes, iios. Me? Never, never, ever would I do that. That's different, Delta. Is that really so bad though? You know, I like to think that my chat paraphrases improve the quality of your chat messages. It's real-time editing. Wow. I think all streamers do that. I've never met a single streamer that doesn't just, you know, radically reinterpret things said in chat to their own benefit. In the second volume of this series... Oh yeah, we have to mark this off. Okay. Order of operations. Checking it off. Oh, this means we can check both rows now. Check. So much progress being made. In the second volume of the series, it was told how Baron Zaya was kindly welcomed to the newly constructed Imperial City by the Emperor Tiber Septim and his family, who treated her like a long-lost daughter during her almost one-year stay. After several happy months, there learning her duties as vassal queen under the Empire, the Imperial General Symmachus escorted her to Mournhold, where she took up her duties as queen of her people under his wise guidance. Gradually, they came to love one another and were married and crowned in a splendid ceremony at which the Emperor himself officiated. I don't think I really, like, massively paraphrase chat. Only when it's really funny, right? I like to think I mostly always read the general intent of a chat message. Mostly. After several hundred years of marriage, a son, Helseth... 100 years? Several hundred years of marriage. A son, Helseth, was born to the royal couple amid celebration and joyous prayer. Although it was not publicly known at the time, it was shortly before this blessed event that the Staff of Chaos had been stolen from its hiding place deep in the Mournhold mines by a clever, enigmatic bard known only as the Nightingale. 8 years after Helseth's birth, Baron Zaya bore a daughter, Morgaia, named after Symmachus' mother, and the royal couple's joy seemed complete. Alas, shortly after that, relations with the Empire mysteriously deteriorated, leading to much civil unrest in Mournhold. It's difficult to come up with shit so fast as to not get lost in chat. Yes, true. Any mendacious maneuver is worthy of melancholy, mellifluous mellification. Yes. For me, yes. Hey, welcome to Strar. How's it going? Huck Finn painted the fence white, I guess. Yeah, you know, that's all there was to it. You get it. I'm thankful iOS doesn't read exactly what we type. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would never be so ungenerous as to, you know, pronounce typos, grammatical issues. Hey, welcome, Skulgan. How's it going? After fruitless investigations and attempts at reconciliation and despair, Baron Zaya took her young children and traveled to the Imperial City herself to seek the ear of then Emperor Uriel Septim VII. Symmachus remained in Mournhold to deal with the grumbling peasants and annoyed nobility and do what he could to starve off an impending insurrection. By the way, while I have you here, let me tell you that this Sunday we will be doing a barbecue stream with me, iios, and Cooking with Lord D. It will be on the Paleontologizing channel. What? I gotta remember to tell the people the things, KQ, okay? If you don't follow Paleontologizing, follow Paleontologizing, because that's where we'll be this coming Sunday. It'll be in our backyard, and this was part of the charity goals. You earned this, chat, okay? So thank you, and you're welcome. And also tomorrow night is movie night on the iios Discord. So if you would like to hang out with us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific time to watch Back to the Future, you can join us, and we will do it at 8 p.m. Pacific time. I've never seen Back to the Future. We watch a movie every 2 weeks, and this is the one we're watching. So I hope to see you there. Huge. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. During her audience with the Emperor, Baron Zaya, through her magical arts, came to realize to her horror and dismay that the so-called Emperor was an imposter, none other than the Bard Nightingale who had stolen the Staff of Chaos. Exercising great self-control, she concealed this realization from him. That evening, news came that Symmachus had fallen in battle with the revolting peasants of Mournhold, and that the kingdom had been taken over by the rebels. Baron Zaya, at this point, did not know where to seek help, or from whom. The gods, that fateful night, were evidently looking out for her as if in redress for her loss. Will there be barbecue macaroni? That does sound phenomenal, Dusty, actually, but I don't know. We'll have to ask Cooking with Lord D. Cooking with Lord D. I don't know if she's in here anymore. Cooking with Lord D. Is there going to be barbecue macaroni? Like she's in here. Maybe. That's a maybe, Dusty. Hey, welcome, Blub Belp. Welcome. Are we gonna have barbecue macaroni? Hey, Life, welcome. Back to the Future 2 is about one of only 6 sequels of all time that is better than the original. Awesome. That's awesome. It's good to know I have something even better to look forward to. We all have big movies we haven't seen. What's one of yours, Delta? Should I send meat to the P.O. box? It wouldn't hurt. Avatar, it wouldn't fucking hurt. Send a side of beef, if you don't mind. No, just potatoes, corn, steak, and stuff. Sounds delicious. Yeah, delicious stuff. Yeah, welcome, Blep Belp. We're reading all of the books in Morrowind. Yeah. The gods that fateful night were evidently looking out for her as if in redress for her loss. King Eadwire of High Rock, an old friend of Uriel Septim, and Symmachus came by on a social call. He comforted her, pledged his friendship, and furthermore, yes.
Skulgan has something special for us.
Yes, Skulgan, thank you for this game recommendation. Incoming game! Warning, incoming game. Warning, incoming game.
Wing Commander
Yes.
3, so we can see Biff from Back to the Future play the exact same guy except as a space pilot opposite Mark Hamill.
Excellent, Skulgan. Thank you. I've heard good things about Wing Commander over the years. I don't know really very much at all about the series. Is it a strategy game? I want to say Wing Commander 1 came out in like the 80s. Wing Commander 1 came out in 1990. So I was pretty close. Is that Super Wing Commander? Oh, well, I'm not going to overthink it. But thank you so much, Skulgan, for the recommendation. It's a space flight sim. Nice. Like X-Wing. Nice. Hellraiser is good. I wouldn't say that's really that huge of a movie, though. Its popularity was a bit ephemeral. Oh, wow. Oh, you gotta redeem the hot take redemption, Delta, if you're gonna be dunking on Hellraiser that much. I don't know, Eraserhead? You should watch Eraserhead, Delta. It's revolting. Eraserhead is revolting, I would say. And furthermore confirmed her suspicions that the Emperor was indeed a fraud and none other than Jagar Tharn, the Imperial Battle Mage, and one of the Nightingales many alter egos. Tharn had supposedly retired into seclusion from public work and installed his assistant, Rhea Silmain, in his stead. The hapless assistant was later put to death under mysterious circumstances. Supposedly a plot implicating her had been uncovered and she had been summarily executed. However, her ghost had appeared to Adwire in a dream and revealed to him that the true Emperor had been kidnapped by Tharn and imprisoned in an alternate dimension. Tharn had then used the Staff of Chaos to kill her when she attempted to warn the Elder Council of his nefarious plot. Together, Adwire and Baronzaya plotted to gain the false Emperor's confidence. Meanwhile, another friend of Rhea's, known only as the Champion, who apparently possessed great, albeit then untapped, potential, was incarcerated at the Imperial dungeons. However, she had access to his dreams, and she told him to bide his time until she could devise a plan that would effect his escape. Then he could begin his mission to unmask the imposter. Baronzaya continued to charm and eventually befriended the ersatz Emperor. By contriving to read his secret diary, she learned that he had broken the Staff of Chaos into 8 pieces and hidden them in far-flung locations scattered across Tamriel. She managed to obtain a copy of the key to Rhea's friend's cell and bribed a guard to leave it there as if by accident. Their champion, whose name was unknown, even to Baronzaya and Adwire, made his escape through a shift gate Raya had opened in an obscure corner of the Imperial dungeons, using her already failing powers. The champion was free at last and almost immediately went to work. Yeah, you're right. It's not really. Yeah, Hellraiser is probably not gonna be in, added to, I guess, like the Library of Congress or something, right? But Eraserhead certainly might be. I haven't seen Titanic or Avatar. You're so young, Dusty. You have so much time still. Titanic hits a little... I wonder if Titanic has aged well. I guess same with Avatar. A fucking biography could not include ghosts visiting people in dreams. That's a first-person source, Avatar, okay? They did their research, okay? They did their own research. I took Baronzaya several more months to learn the hiding places of all 8 staff pieces through snatches of overheard conversation and rare glances at Tharn's diary. Once she had the vital information, however, which she communicated to Raya forthwith, who in turn passed it on to the champion. She and Adwire lost no time. They fled to Wayrest, his ancestral kingdom in the province of High Rock, where they managed to fend off the sporadic efforts of Tharn's henchmen to haul them back to the Imperial City, or at the very least obtain revenge. Tharn, whatever else might be said of him, was no one's fool, save perhaps Baronzaya's, and he concentrated most of his efforts toward tracking down and destroying the champion. Right, no one reads to all this. No, they do. They do read all of this for me. We're reading all of it. This is value for money, okay? You watched Hellraiser with people a couple of months ago and it was a trip, half laughing at it and half gore fest. Yeah, it is very gory. I remember parts of it. It was fun though and stylish. Like, I enjoyed Hellraiser. I didn't age well either. Shut up, Avatar. Avatar is a baby. Avatar is like 5 years younger than me. I don't even want to hear Avatar talk about how old he feels. So old. Yeah. I don't know what part of this I read. They fled to Wayrest. Was no one's fool, save perhaps Baronzaya's, and he concentrated most of his efforts toward tracking down and destroying the champion. As all now know, the courageous, indefatigable, and forever nameless champion was successful in reuniting the 8 sundered pieces of the Staff of Chaos. With it, they destroyed Tharn and rescued the true Emperor, Uriel Septim VII, following what has come to be known as the Restoration.
Has a hot take. This could have been a cold take.
Yeah. A grand state memorial service was held for Symmachus at the Imperial City, befitting the man who had served the Septim dynasty for so long and so well. Baronzaya and good King Adwire had come to care deeply for one another during their trials and adventures, and were married in the same year, shortly after their flight from the Imperial City. Her 2 children from her previous marriage with Symmachus remained with her, and a regent was appointed to rule Mournhold in her absence. Up to the present time, Queen Berenziah has been in Wayrest with Prince Helseth and Princess Morgaya. She plans to return to Mournhold after Adwyer's death. Since he was already elderly when they wed, she knows that the event, alas, cannot be far off as the elves reckon time. Until then, she shares in the government of the Kingdom of Wayrest with her husband and seems glad and content with her finally quiet and happily unremarkable life. Ba-da-da-dum. Okay. It's... So, we've read, like, at least...
someone watching me, I can tell.
Like, 4 different narratives of these events. We've read the, like, the history of the Empire includes, like, an overall summary. This one, Brief History, 1, 2, and 3, includes a summary of events that include this. We have the biography of Berenziah, which includes like a sanitized version of it. We have the real biography of Berenziah, which includes like, it's like essentially like her version of it. And then she's still alive. That blows my mind, actually. I don't understand Avatar. I quite frankly think it sucks. There's a hot take for you. Yeah, it was just a CG fest when it came out, really. It's just like, oh, pretty, so pretty aliens. The Brothers of Darkness. Nice. Brothers of Darkness. 34 books read. 34 big ones. I think we're like 1 year apart. I'm 14. You better not be 14, Avatar, because you gotta be over 18 to watch this year content. I cannot give any clues, but I can see an obvious setup. It'll just make it awesome when it all gets sorted out. Well, I'm looking forward to it too, for me. Yeah, what are some other movies we just like don't get? They overcame the strat. No, I undercame. Yeah, movies I don't get. Movies I don't get. I feel like I don't get Frozen. I feel like I didn't get Frozen. Although it's since grown on me some. I watched Frozen for the first time, I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And the truth is, it's not like you need to get it. There's not like a thing to get. iios, are you going to find all 8 pieces of the Chaos Staff this playthrough? No, that's the summary of the first game, Avatar, okay? That's Elder Scrolls 1, Arena. That's the plotline from that game. So, probably not. It's so amazing, Frozen. I like the music in Frozen a lot. I unironically will listen to the music of Frozen. You know, I gotta get going for my day, you know, give me, it's been so long, you know. Got some real bangers there. The Brothers of Darkness by Pilar and Asi. As their name suggests, the Dark Brotherhood has a history shrouded in obfuscation. Their ways are secret to those who are not themselves. Let it go. Let it go. They're was super emotionally important to me for a while. I respect that, Delta. I love that for all of us. Their ways are secret to those who are not themselves. Brothers of the Order. Brother is a generic term. Some of their deadliest assassins are female, but they are often called brothers as well. How they continue to exist in shadow, but be easily found by those desperate enough to pay for their services, is not the least of the mysteries surrounding them. The Dark Brotherhood sprang from a religious order, the Morag Tong, during the Second Era. The Morag Tong were worshippers of the Daedra spirit Mephala, who encouraged them to commit ritual murders. In their early years, they were disorganized as only obscure cultists could be. There was no one to lead the band, and as a group they dared not murder anybody of any importance. This changed with the rise of the Night Mother. All leaders of the Morag Tong, and then afterward the Dark Brotherhood, have been called the Night Mother. Whether the same woman, if it is even a woman, has commanded the Dark Brotherhood since the Second Era is unknown. What is believed is that the original Night Mother developed an important doctrine of the Morag Tong, the belief that, while Mephala does grow stronger with every murder committed in her name, certain murders were better than others. Murders that came from hate pleased Mephala more than murders committed because of greed. Murders of great men and women pleased Mephala more than murders of relative unknowns. We can approximate the time this belief was adopted with the first known murder committed by the Morag Tong. In the year 324 of the Second Era, the potentate Versidue Shaye was murdered in his palace in what is today the Elsewhere Kingdom of Senchal. In a brash move, the Night Mother announced the identity of the murderers by painting Morag Tong on the walls in the potentate's own blood. Okay, sorry, so they murdered the potentate, and then the Night Mother announced the identity of them? Okay, interesting. If you're gonna use I love that for you on me, at least do it in a way that makes sense. I think I said I love that for all of us, because I actually do like Let It Go. And I get where you're coming from. I love that for all of us, is what I meant to say. Frozen, I've never seen it. Plot, look after your sister. Let it go, question mark? It's more, that song in particular is more about letting go of, oh god, how do I even begin to, Delta, do you want to describe how you would say, I was being sincere, sorry, I'm not used to that. Oh yeah, nice, nice. Delta was nice. Delta was nice. Yeah, how do you describe the appeal of Let It Go? Chat. Murders of hardcore gamers please for more than murders of casuals, yeah. Previous to that, the Morag Tong existed in relative peace, more or less like a witch's coven, occasionally persecuted but usually ignored, in remarkable synchronicity at a time when Tamriel the Arena was a fractured land. The Morag Tong was outlawed throughout the continent. Every sovereign gave the cult's elimination his highest priority. Nothing more was officially heard of them for 100 years. I think the appeal of Let It Go was it's a song about letting go of the expectations of other people and being your own person. And I think that just resonated with a lot of people. I don't know, I've never seen Frozen. Those just feel like the vibes. Yep. You nailed it, KQ, nailed it. It's about letting go. Yeah, thanks, Golly. It is more difficult to date the era when the Morag Tong re-emerged as the Dark Brotherhood, especially as other guilds of assassins have sporadically appeared throughout the history of Tamriel. The first mention of the Dark Brotherhood that I have found is from the journals of the Blood Queen Arlamahera of Hagath. She spoke of slaying her enemies by her own hand, or if necessary, with the help of the Night Mother and her Dark Brotherhood, the secret arsenal my family has employed since my grandfather's time. Arlamahera wrote this in Second Era 412, so one can surmise that the Dark Brotherhood had been in existence since at least 360 if her grandfather had truly made use of them. That historical dating, though. You somehow never processed the fact that you were green screened on stream. I know. Yes, I know. Yeah, I sit in front of a green screen. I do. Yeah, it's so seamless, Necron. You never even noticed. Yeah. Turn away and wait and slam the door. Wait, that's not how I remember the lyrics to Let It Go. I bet you people have done a lot of like sort of, I don't know, like parodies of Let It Go. Are there any Let It Go parodies? You know, what's it? Yeah, like a parody song of Let It Go. What would Weird Al do? The important distinction between the Dark Brotherhood and the Morag Tong was that the Brotherhood was a business as much as it was a cult. Rulers and wealthy merchants used the order as an assassin's guild. The Brotherhood gained the obvious rewards of a profitable enterprise, as well as the secondary benefit that rulers could no longer actively persecute them. They were needed. They were purveyors of an essential commodity. Even an extremely virtuous leader would be unwise to mistreat the Brotherhood. I don't care. Yeah. I know a parody of Do You Want to Fight a Snowman? It's Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Silly avarice. Not long after Arla Mahera's journal entry became perhaps the most famous series of executions in the history of the Dark Brotherhood. The Colovian Emperor, potentate Savirian Chorak, and every one of his heirs were murdered on one bloody night in Sun's Dawn in 430. Eat the whale meat. Eat the whale meat. Eat the whale meat. Oh my god. It was a song Delta was singing, playing Dishonored. You had to be there. Within a fortnight, the Colovian dynasty crumbled to the delight of its enemies. For over 400 years, until the advent of the warrior emperor Tiber Septim, chaos reigned over Tamriel. Though no comparably impressive executions have been recorded, the Brotherhood must have grown fat with gold during that interregnum. The Dark Brotherhood has no shortage of business opportunities, and accounting, I've been informed, is the Brotherhood's favorite use of euphemism for an execution. While they are officially considered an unlawful organization in every corner of the Empire, like the Thieves Guild, they are almost universally tolerated. Nuke the whales! Well. So Dishonored, the game Dishonored is set in Dunwall, I reloaded, but that's okay, because all we did was read the book.
What is this about?
The game Dishonored, society runs on whale oil, and somehow or another, Delta got on to singing the whale song. Yeah, Fortnite. I don't know what that is. Necron. Reflections on Cult Worship in the Empire is our next book. Isn't this fun? Isn't this? This is truly the logical endpoint of the iOS stream, going slowly insane, reading texts, ancient video game texts. All right, that brings us up to 35, I think. Yeah. 35 books read. You can have it all, Peter Shoes. You can have it all. Thank you. Whoops. Peter Shoes, you can have it all. Here in the iOS channel, 4 months in a row. I super appreciate it. Peter, it's fantastic to have you. God, what a champion. Look at Tina Fey eating that whole sandwich.
4 months. I am 4 months old.
You were singing about eating the whale meat, yeah. Because you ate whale meat, yeah. Didn't that happen in Disco? I don't think so, Snowy. I'm not sure. Wow, an entire spreadsheet for this? Well, Necron, if I want to keep track of all of the books that I've read, I'm gonna need, I need a system, okay? Trappy, thank you for the gifts up to First Necron. And this is our system, okay? Otherwise, how am I gonna keep track? The game, they want to overwhelm you. They want you to say, "Blah, I'm astounded at all of this content." And I say no. I'm gonna eat this content. Even I'm gonna get it down my gullet, just like when birds eat other birds. I'm gonna eat all of this content, and it'll be tough, but it'll be worth it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you again, Peter, for the 4 months. I really appreciate that. Sure do.
It's like when you're a bird and you're eating another bird.
Yes. Reflections on Cult Worship in the Empire, from the correspondence of Cusius Plesia, Imperial Trader, writing from the from the Voss Trade House in Vardenfell District, province of Morrowind. KQ, the image that comes to mind when I read iOS versus Morrowind book Goliath is, I guess, a giant book. I guess now that I read it literally out loud, that seems kind of obvious, but giant book. Tiny little itty bitty iOS. I have noted that Heartlanders like myself and assimilated Imperial citizens of other races tend to impersonal.
I hate.
That's not true.
Macaroni and cheese.
I thought
will never eat it.
we
and
were
I
past
never have,
this, Dusty.
And there's no way.
I thought we were past it. Yeah, don't listen to that. I ate macaroni famously on stream. and loved it, and it was delicious, and everyone said it was delicious, and yeah, and I would never lie. For us, cults are first and foremost social and economic organizations. We typically think of the 8 divines in their most abstract terms as powerful but indifferent spirits to be propitiated, and do not think of their relationships as personal. Notable exceptions include minor charismatic subcults of Akatosh and Dibella. The imperial cult of Tiber Septim also has a significant charismatic subcult. With the exception of the Alessian Order, which Heartlanders regard as a dark age, religious cults have played only minor parts in Heartlander and imperial history. The Septim Emperors have made it a policy to limit the influence of cult authorities in aristocratic, military, and bureaucratic affairs. Cult worship is regarded as a private and practical matter, and public pronouncements by religious figures are not welcome. It should be, I cook macaroni and cheese. It should be, Kali, it should be. 8 divines, 8 pieces of the chaos staff. Must be a coincidence, yeah. Or is it, Avatar? We'll have to keep our eyes out for more 8s. Did you know if you turn an 8 on its side, it becomes the infinity sign? Not many people know that. Nordic hero cults provide a strong countercurrent to the dominant secularism of the empire. Huge, if true. The imperial cult of Tiber Septim is just such a hero cult. And among the military, provincial colonists, and recently assimilated foreigners, the cult is particularly strong and personal. The Tribunal Temple in Morrowind and its predecessor, House Ancestor cults, are, by contrast with imperial cults, extremely intimate and personal. In ancestor cults, the worshipper has a direct relationship with a blood family ancestor spirit, and the temple cultist's relationship with the tribunal is a relationship with a living, breathing god who walks the earth, speaks in person with priests and cultists, and whose daily actions are prescribed models for the daily actions of their followers. The differences in religious temperament between Heartlanders and Morrowind Dunmer accounts in large part for consistent political and social misunderstandings between the two cultures. Heartlanders do not consider cult affairs as serious matters, where the Dunmer consider cult affairs, and in particular ancestral spirit veneration, to be very serious matters indeed. Heartlanders are casual and tolerant in religious matters. Dunmer are passionate and extremely intolerant. Heartlanders do not speak with their gods, and do not think of their actions as under constant review and judgment by their gods. The Dunmer feel that all they think and do is under the ever-watchful eye of the tribunal and family ancestor spirits. Scooey! Yeah, it's true, Snowy, it's true. 8 Washington Lane, the next clue is at the White House! We should legit watch National Treasure, the Nick Cage movie with National Treasure. It's so good. I'm so sad that Middle Ditch turned out to be scum. Is that like the third? Is that like the final entry in the National Treasure quadrilogy or something? What in the National Treasure? Yeah. The Wild Elves. On Wild Elves, actually. On Wild Elves. On Wild Horses. Wait, what? Is the book actually... It's...
Ahoy, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep, I'm pretty good. I should turn it up more. The Wild Elves. Error game, error. It says The Wild Elves on the front cover, but says On Wild Elves on the interior. The Wild Elves. Here we are. Wrong thing. No, one in every like 20 or something plays Ahoy Motherfucker instead. For your viewing pleasure. Okay. Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. by Kierjo Chorvac in the wilds of most every province of Tamriel, descended philosophically, if not directly, from the original inhabitants of the land, are the Eyelids, commonly called the Wild Elves, while 3 races of elven stock, the Altmer or High Elves, the Bosmer or Wood Elves, and the Dunmer or Dark Elves, have assimilated well into the new cultures of Tamriel. The eyelids and their... Eyelids? No, I can't say eyelids. It should be eyelids? Eyelids. Every option seems worse than the other. Eyelids. And their brethren have remained aloof toward our civilization, preferring to practice the old ways, far from the eyes of the world. The Wild Elves speak a variation of Old Cyrodiilic, opting to shun Tamrielic and separating themselves from the mainstream of Tamriel even further than the least urbanized of their elven cousins. It's a Comedy Bang Bang legacy character reference that ended up aging badly. Interesting. I should check out Comedy Bang Bang more. It's like a sketch comedy show, right? Or is it actually an improv tour? It's a podcast. Right. Interesting. Deep references. In temperament, they are dark-spirited and taciturn, though this is from the point of view of outsiders, or Polani in their tongue, and doubtless they act differently within their own tribes. Indeed, one of the finest sages of the University of Gwylan was a civilized eyelid elf, Jurhane Fear, First Era 2790 to Second Era 227, whose published work on wild elves suggests a lively, vibrant culture. Fire is one of the very few eyelids to speak freely on his people and religion, and he himself said, the nature of the eyelid tribes is multi-hued.
Clearly it's Eyelids. Everyone thank their Eyelids for keeping their eyes protected.
I actually like the way TTS says that, Eyelids. Very few Eyelids to speak freely on his people and religion, and he himself said, the nature of the Eyelid tribes is multi-hued, their personalities often wildly different from their neighboring tribes. Fire, T, nature of Eyelidic poesy, page 8.
_shoes_ has an
Oh,
extra
thank you,
special
Peter. Yes,
video
let's watch
for
this
us
in one
to
second.
watch Scoey little comedy bang bang bit.
Nice. University of Gwylan Press, Second Era 12. Like any alien culture, wild elves are often feared by the simple people of Tamriel. The Eyelids continue to be one of the greatest enigmas of the continent of Tamriel. They seldom appear in the pages of written history in any role, and then only as a strange sight a chronicler stumbles upon before they vanish into the wood. When probable fiction is filtered from common legend, we are left with almost nothing. The mysterious ways of the Eyelids have remained shrouded since before the First Era, and may well remain so for thousands of years to come. Scooey! Alright. Plane is moving. Bye, all. Yo, Avatar. Have a great flight. Thank you so much for hanging out. Take it easy. Fantastic. Let's watch it. Is this, what's his face? I'm so bad with names. I'm so bad with nouns. Does anybody else have a noun problem? Is there an official term for having noun blindness? Okay, because I have... Yikes, you think, Austin? It's a lot. I don't know. I guess I don't know the person they're making fun of
You may speak.
well enough to be like, oh yes, this is funny. Exactly. iios, did you finish the vampire game? I sure did, Cassie. We finish games on the here on the iios channel, Cassie. We finish what we start, just like we're gonna read every goddamn book in this game. So help me God, okay? And we did finish the vampire game. It took a long time. Speaking of vampires, we're reading The Vampires of Vardenfell. Love it. Do love me some iios vampire. No, for sure. No, Austin, you're totally fine. No, it's a lot. It's very of that time. Super IFC hipster wave, yeah, for sure. Vampire : The Masquerade - Bloodlines. Yeah, and it's hard sometimes to jump into skits and not be familiar with the creators and stuff. But I appreciate you sharing, Peter. I do. Excerpts. The violent antipathy of Morrowind culture toward necromancy ensures that vampires are virtually unknown in Morrowind. The temple does not acknowledge the existence of Western vampire hunting orders. Nonetheless, interviews with the temple officials persuade me that the Dunmer of Morrowind are experienced and knowledgeable on the handling of these menaces. On the other hand, they freely admit that even a large community of vampires might easily escape detection in the remote wastelands or in the subterranean labyrinths of abandoned strongholds and wizard towers. The Ash Vampire of Ashlander legend is not undead. Sorceries and blessings affecting the undead reportedly have no effect on these creatures. No specimen has ever been examined, and no references have ever linked these legends with the known clans of Tamrielic vampires. Vardenfell's 3 known bloodlines differ greatly in their approach to prey. The Quara bloodline features exceptional strength and endurance, and attacks in a state of ecstatic frenzy. Aunde vampires are potent spellcasters, seeking to hypnotize victims before feeding, while the swift and agile Burn clan vampires prefer stealth and ambush, first poisoning the victim with a bite, then withdrawing to a safe distance, returning to feed only when the prey has weakened. It is supposed that vampirism is contracted from the wounds received from a vampire. Since a few victims survive vampiric attacks or feedings, the process of contracting the disease is little understood. Some have suggested that victims may willingly submit themselves to the will of a vampire, but no real evidence of this exists. During the incubation phase, lasting up to 72 hours, the vampirism disease exhibits no symptoms and may be cured by general spellcraft or cult blessings. However, during incubation, some victims have reported sleep disturbances and troubling dreams. After symptoms are exhibited, however, the disease is incurable and irreversible. Cool. This is Open Morrowind on the Steam version, and the Steam version comes with both of the expansions. I bet listening to you read a phone book would be interesting. I'm glad you feel that way, Snowy. I get it if it's not everyone's thing. I guess. You know what? No, I take it back. I don't get it. If listening to me read 250 Morrowind books isn't your thing, I don't understand. I don't get it. This is innovative content. Big stream goals. You reading a phone butt would be interesting. Hell yeah. I'll read anything. As long as it's got text on it. On Oblivion by Morian Zenas. In gaming news, by the way, I'll pause for a second and say, in gaming news, off-stream gaming news, I have finally reached Act 3 of Divinity 2. Divinity Original Sin 2. Which I am so excited about. It is such a fun RPG game, and I'm having a blast. And I've been staying up way too late making progress on it. It makes me want to play, gosh, a lot of RPGs really, but I'd like to play like Baldur's Gate eventually, Baldur's Gate 3. And the earlier Baldur's Gates would be interesting. I've never played any of them actually. It is improper, however customary, to refer to the denizens of the Dimension of Oblivion as demons. This practice probably dates to the Alessian doctrines of the First Era prophet Maruk, which rather amusingly forbade traffic with daemons, and then neglected to explain what daemons were. It is most probable that daemon is a misspelling or etymological rendition of Daedra, the old elven word for those strange, powerful creatures of uncertain motivation who hail from the dimension of oblivion. Daedra is actually the plural form. The singular is Daedroth. In a later tract by King Hael the Pious of Skyrim, almost 1,000 years after the publication of the original doctrines, the evil machinations of his political enemies are compared to the wickedness of the demons of Oblivion. Their depravity equals that of Sanguine itself. They are cruel as Boethia, calculating as Molag Bal, and mad as Sheogorath. Hael the Pious thus long-windedly introduced 4 of the Daedra lords to written record. But the written record is not, after all, the best way to research Oblivion and the Daedra who inhabit it. Yeah, has anybody played Baldur's Gate? Any of the Baldur's Gate games? Trying to think of all the text games you've played. I haven't played really hardly any pure text games, just like games with a lot of text we've played. They're all in the list. It's all in the sheet. Snowy. All the data's there. But the written record is not, after all, the best way to research Oblivion and the Daedra who inhabit it. Those who traffic with daemons seldom wish it to be a matter of public account. Nevertheless, scattered throughout the literature of the First Era are diaries, journals, notices for witch burnings, and guides for Daedra slayers. One thing I've been doing, just for fun, a lot lately is I've been reading all of CRPG Addict's coverage of the games that they played, that he's played. And if you're not familiar with CRPG Addict here, why don't I just show it for a second? It's like a blog. It's like a person who started in 2010 playing every computer RPG, which is a specific subgenre, and does like long form reviews and like actually like very long form reviews. Some of the earlier ones are not quite even as in depth, but like displays a true dedication to, you know, to like every single one essentially. And so what's cool is, I don't know, just to see the breadth of it. So I don't know, I occasionally, or I've, you know, I'm slowly reading through. I think I'm in 87. Oh, I read about Beyond Zork, Kali, which was, I think that's like related, that's like the predecessor of Zork Grand Inquisitor, which is the game I saw Avatar play and you recommended. It was interesting. This review was interesting. So a lot of these games you see played and they're like, they almost feel like ancient artifacts, some of them. And then occasionally you'll see like games that just are like clearly really advancing the technology of the time. It's really cool. Anyway, if you have a couple 100 hours to spare, you can help yourself to some awesome summaries of old games. Yeah, but I'm keeping my little iOS eye out for the I'm like, I feel like it wasn't until like 87 or 86 that there's a game on here that I'm like, I would definitely play that for sure. You know, it's just like some of the games are so graphically like there's like no graphics whatsoever. It's even too much for me. It's like oppressive almost. You like collecting old computer games. Very cool about that. The history is fascinating. It is. Are there any you've been trying to collect, or any you're excited to collect recently? Reading is the dark souls of cognition. It is. And narrating is the dark souls of reading. Yeah, let's go with that. You know, I do love applying, you know, the dark souls of to absolutely everything, and just, you know, greatly, you know, generally I'm overstating the importance of Dark Souls in the history of video games is something I never get tired of. Star Control 2. I'm trying to think if I've read that one already. Yeah, this is truly the darkest soul of times. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading this before I say more shit. I don't know what I'm saying. Oblivion is a place composed of many lands, thus the many names for which Oblivion is synonymous. Damn it. Oh. Those who traffic with daemons seldom wish it to be a matter of public account. Nevertheless, scattered throughout the literature of the First Era are diaries, journals, notices for witch burnings, and guides for Daedra slayers. These I have used as my primary source material. They are at least as trustworthy as the Daedra lords I have actually summoned and spoken with at length. It's great to see those shindigs. Apparently, Oblivion is composed of many lands, thus the many names for which Oblivion is synonymous: Cold Harbor, Quagmire, Moonshadow, etc. It may be correctly supposed that each dark land of Oblivion is ruled over by one prince. Hey, welcome, Mayor Joanna. How's it going? It may be, yes, the Daedra princess whose names appeared over and over in ancient records. Snowy Moon, thank you.
Something special for us.
Incoming game, incoming game. Cool. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Snowy. Bring it on, Snowy. Bring it on. Bum.
Anchorhead, the original text adventure version.
Nice.
Your husband inherited a house in a town called Anchorhead in New England, published in 1998 and heavily inspired by Eldritch horror.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Snowy Moo, for recommending. I appreciate that so much. Have you played it before, Snowy, or like when did you first play Anchorhead? Yeah, when did Star Control 2 come out exactly? Is this a 90s game? 92. I probably would enjoy it. I've definitely read things about Star Control 2. And Star Control 1 came out in 90. Interesting. One day we'll get back. We'll go back. We'll play the Dark Souls of retro games. It's open source, actually. There's a version called Urquan Masters. It's nice. Yeah, it's nice. A lot of these older games have just been like re-implemented almost as open source. I played and finished it about a year ago. I'm young. Nice, Snowy. Excellent taste. Impeccable taste. Hey, Portal, welcome. The Daedra princess whose names appear over and over in ancient records, though this is not an infallible test of their authenticity or explicit existence, to be sure, are the aforementioned Sanguine, Boethia, Molag Bal, and Sheogorath, and in addition Azura, Mephala, Clavicus Vile, Veranima, Malakath, Hoermius, or Hermaeus, or Hormias, or Herma. There seems to be no one accepted spelling. Murrah, Namira, Jigalog, Nocturnal, Maroons Dagon, and Periite. Yeah, welcome, Portal. It's good to see you. Star Control is such a unique game, up there with King of Dragon Pass, which is another game I really would like to play, King of Dragon Pass. Almost everything went into the public domain, but a few things, like the name. Man, public domain is so interesting. You just finished watching someone's playthrough of Star Control 2 today. It was good overall, yeah. Had a couple of yikes 90s moments with its content, but it was overall a very neat trip. Yeah. That's honestly, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, if it gets by with that being the worst, then it's probably aged better than a lot of stuff from the 90s. I'll have to I don't even want to say add. I don't even want to lie to myself and say add it to my list. We'll keep an eye on it. It's fun that so many people have had nice experiences with it. Don Bluth was involved in Maelstrom. Buy Azura! Buy Azura! Buy Azura! From my experience, Daedra are a very mixed lot. It is almost impossible to categorize them as a whole, except for their immense power and penchant for extremism. Be that as it may, I have here attempted to do so in a few cases, purely for the sake of scholastic expediency. Maroons Dagon, Molag Bal, Periate, Boethia, and Veranima are among the most consistently demonic of the Daedra, in the sense that their spheres seem to be destructive in nature. The other Daedra can, of course, be equally dangerous, but seldom purely for the sake of destruction as these 5 can. Nor are these previous 5 identical in their destructiveness. Maroons Dagon seems to prefer natural disasters, earthquakes and volcanoes, for venting his anger. Molag Bal elects the employment of other Daedra, and Boethia inspires the arms of mortal warriors. Periite's sphere seems to be pestilence, and Veranima's torture. In preparation for the next installment in this series, I will be investigating 2 matters that have intrigued me since I began my career as a Daedra researcher. The first is on one particular Daedroth, perhaps yet another Daedra prince, referred to in multiple articles of Incunabula as Hircine. Hircine has been called the huntsman of the princes, and the father of man-beasts, but I have yet to find anyone who can summon him. The other, and perhaps more doubtful, goal I have is to find a practical means for mortal men to pass through to oblivion. It has always been my philosophy that we need only fear that which we do not understand, and with that thought in mind, I ever pursue my objective. Okay. Wow, chat. Wow. You know what? Big news. We've read the bottom shelf of this bookcase. And then we have that bookcase. And then we have those. But we've read this bottom shelf of books. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that fantastic? The progress we're making together. Thought of streaming it would be an undertaking. Yeah. Just in terms of like, yeah, emulating it or like, okay. But we've read the annotated annual already. We've read this already. Holy shit, we read this already. Right? Getting it to run would be easy. Yeah. It is like dealing with the expectations of old games like that can be very tough. We've read the annotated Anuad. We've read the anticipations. Okay. Special Flora of Tamriel. Special Flora. Special Flora. We have not read. Yes, we have a spreadsheet, Portal. A spreadsheet. You think I would just try and wing this? Who do you think you're talking to, Portal? Okay, this is serious. Serious business. This is the Dark Souls of reading. As Shadig so kindly said. Seriously. This is the Dark Souls of Morrowind playthroughs. Alright? This is the Dark Souls of my life right now. Yo, it's Jank. Welcome. Hello. Welcome, Jank. It's so good to see you. How's it going? September really be saving me money. Alien, please. Hell yeah, Jank. I'm so glad. My team and I worked quite a bit on September this year. We owned a lot of it and are responsible for a lot of it. I clicked the button to turn September on today. You're welcome. You're welcome. No big deal. No big deal. Yeah, what did you even do today, huh, chat? I bet you didn't turn on September. I'm just kidding. Special Flora of Tamriel. Yeah, I want to do more retro stuff. So like this, like Morrowind kind of brings us back to more retro stuff, even like early 2000s. I want to do like 90s retro stuff though. Urquan runs really well on modern PCs, yeah. What part would be the undertaking, do you feel, Delta? Just like pitching it to people and having people like stick with it? Turn it on more! 70% off! I can't. That's outside of my power, Shindigs. I couldn't. You tell me, Shindigs, what to do. I guess that is a command, the way you worded it. Well. Yeah, maybe after the long weekend. Let's talk. Schedule me a meeting. A nice 90-minute meeting. And we can pontificate. The poppy in both black and white varieties may be found. Make it a 2-hour meeting. Hell, why not? May be found growing wild in the mountains of Hammerfell. Their succulent pods are often the only nourishment for adventurers who find themselves in the wilderness without rations. It is said that black and white poppies imbibed together have magical properties. When they are crushed and mixed with the milk of the agile-footed mountain goat, the resulting potion... This is actually really useful information. Hear me out. A day where there's a bug and all subs are 70% off and it takes 24 hours to fix? Weird. I could see that happening. Shindigs. I could see it could happen. It could happen. You could totally slip in a fake book into this series of books, and then I would have what? More books to read? Absurd. Ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it's like doing a Soul Level 1 Dark Souls playthrough. Ridiculous. Okay, so the book is teaching us how to eat poppies. You can eat poppies. And you can combine black and white poppies and maybe eat them. You can also crush and mix them with goat milk, and then you get like a flying potion. Fire fern, a perennial herb, is native to the province of Morrowind. The flowers are inconspicuous and often hidden. The glossy evergreen foliage and blossoms are resistant to conditions of high heat and bright light. A petal from this plant, placed under the adventurer's tongue, will provide protection from the heat and fire of the lava pits around the thermal streams around Dagoth-Ur. Dragon's tongue, a common name for a fern-like herb found in Black Marsh. is especially prolific around the area of the Ulthuris swamp. It is a beautiful wildflower whose name comes from the fire-red fronds that protect its golden efflorescence. As pretty as it is, however, it is a deadly poison to most living beings and needs to be avoided by adventurers, especially unprotected ones, as it is lethal to the touch. It is said, however, that Argonians can handle the plant and use the sap derived from its roots to enhance their endurance. No, excuse me. Does payout to streamers change when subs are discounted? No, Twitch covers it, Colleen. Twitch covers the discount for September. Oh, it's not. Shit, Jake, thank you. The spreadsheet is not meant to be on the screen. Oh, it's so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed, Jake. At least somebody's watching. Domica redwort is an herb grown by many residents of Valenwood for their beautiful and showy flowers. They attain a height of about 3 feet and sport feathery leaves. The flowers are usually bright red. In addition to their beauty, they are said to have the magical ability of enhancing the appearance of anyone who carries or wears one of the blooms. Ironwood nut is a hard-shelled fruit that comes from the ironwood trees growing deep in the forests of Skyrim. The wood of these trees is hard as the metal after which it is named. The very rare black variety of ironwood is said to produce a nut which is very succulent nuts, and believed to greaten the strength of the adventurer who is able to crack its shell and partake of it. The ginkgo leaves, which are found along the banks of rivers and lakes in Hammerfell, are most inconspicuous, only their peculiar half-moon shape making them noticeable. The edible foliage is very sweet and quite tasty. Legend has it that when mixed properly with the pulp of the aloe plant, the resulting concoction has the ability of increasing one's stamina for a short while. All my other monitors are filled with spreadsheets, so it looked right at home on my end. Yeah, maybe it's like the bug on the screen, right? Is it a bug? Or, you know, is it a spreadsheet on the screen, or is it a spreadsheet on the video feed? Don't think I made a spreadsheet like 2010. Lol. Well, you know, Jank, there's all kinds of things you can put in spreadsheets, Jank. You know, just put it in a spreadsheet. Next time you're doing a project, Jank, put it in a spreadsheet. Yeah. Indeed. Like words, exactly. Put them in a spreadsheet. All my homies hate Notion. Yeah, fuck Notion. I mean, actually, yeah, Notion's fine. I don't know. Laura D uses Notion for her stream, to be honest, and likes it. So. The Somnolius fern can be found in the swamps of Blackmarsh. The fronds of this plant are light green and quite delicate. Picking a frond can be very difficult, as they usually crumble to the touch, but once retrieved it can be used to put an enemy to sleep for a short while by passing it under his nose. CSV pilled. Don't tell me you're one of those text fanatics shindigs. Next thing you're going to be talking to me about text-only accounting and ridiculous, okay? I use Quicken and I like it, and you should too. Arrowroot is a thick, rubbery tuber that can be found in the province of Valenwood. The plant is quite difficult to find as its above-ground foliage is very meager and scrawny, but the root itself can be most beneficial to the gatherer as it has magical properties. The paste made from grinding the root is quite wholesome and can improve the user's accuracy with a bow and arrow or other missile weapon. Nightshade is reputed to be a very poisonous herb. Butts exist here. I guess. However, the variety found in many parts of elsewhere is cherished by Khajiits who have taken up careers in thievery. Many Khajiits will tuck a piece of nightshade inside their armor to increase their abilities to skulk, hide, and become invisible. Ruins of Kamal Z. God, just really questioning my life and stream choices here ever so slightly. Number 201. 201. Scooey. I'm here for the butts. I mean the books. You're welcome, Sessa. Thanks for stopping by. That puts us at 40. 40 books read. 40 big ones. You know, if you were a kid in school, you would get a gold reading award. Probably. I mean, maybe. Howdy, Sessa. Welcome.
I could probably have unprotected sex with 30 men, one right after the other.
I don't
and
know
it would
why.
be totally fine.
I don't know why that's firing for people giving bits. I don't think it should. I don't think I intended for it to. But thank you, Austin, for the 40 bits. Nice. Yeah, thanks, Graham. Snowy, you've been following since September 23rd, 2020. Snowy. The Ruins of Kamelze by Rolarge Nordson. With the acclamations of the Fellows of the Imperial Society still ringing in my ears, I decided to return to Morrowind immediately. It was not without some regret that I bade farewell to the flesh pots of the Imperial City, but I knew that the wonders I had brought back from Raled Makai had only scratched the surface of the Dwemer ruins in Morrowind. Even more spectacular treasures were out there, I felt, just waiting to be found, and I was eager to be off. I also had before me the salutary example of poor Bannerman, who was still dining out on a single expedition to Blackmarsh 20 years ago. That would never be me, I vowed. I was just expecting, a bits beef of some sort. It probably should be, actually. Almost 2 years followed, Snowy. Big deal. Big follows. I was always the top AR point leader in my grade. You're a good reader, Kate Shania. Cruising through those books. It's like you're a reading fiend. You're power reading. Yeah. With my letter from the Empress in hand, this time I would have the full cooperation of the Imperial authorities. No more need to worry about attacks from superstitious locals. But where should I look next? The ruins at Kamelze were the obvious choice. Unlike Raled Makai, getting to the ruins would not be a problem. Also known as the Cliff City, Kamelze lies on the mainland side of the Vardenfell Rift, sprawling down the sheer coastal cliff. Travelers from the east coast of Vardenfell often visit the site by boat, and it can also be reached overland from the nearby villages without undue hardship. Once my expedition had assembled in Saidanin, that's where we started. We started there. With the usual tedious complications involved in operating in this half-civilized land, we set out for the village of Murag near the ruins, where we hoped to hire a party of diggers. My interpreter, Tuen Panai, an unusually jolly fellow for a dark elf, who I had hired in Saidanin at the recommendation of the local garrison commander, assured me that the local villagers would be very familiar with Kamelze, having looted the site for generations. Incidentally, Tenpenny, as we soon came to call him, to his constant amusement, proved invaluable, and I would recommend him without hesitation to any of my colleagues who were planning similar expeditions to the wilds of Morrowind. At Murag, we ran into our first trouble. The hetman of the village, a reserved, elegant old fellow, seemed willing to cooperate, but the local priest, a representative of the absurd religion they have here, worshipping something called the Tribunal, who they claim actually live in palaces in Morrowind, was fervently against us excavating in the ruins. He looked likely to sway the villagers to his side with his talk of religious taboos, but I waved the Empress's letter under his nose and mentioned something about my friend, the garrison commander at Saidanin, and he quieted right down. No doubt this was just a standard negotiating tactic arranged among the villagers to increase their pay. In any event, once the priest had stalked off, muttering to himself, no doubt calling down curses upon the heads of the foreign devils, we soon had a line of villagers eager to sign on to the expedition. Reading is great, Snowy Moo, it really is. While my assistant was working out the mundane details of contracts, supplies, etc., Master Aram and I rode on to the ruins. By land, they can only be reached using narrow paths that wind down the face of the cliff from above, where any misstep threatens to send one tumbling into the sea, foaming about the jagged rocks below. The city's original entrance to the surface must have been in the part of the city to the northeast, the part that fell into the sea long ago when the eruption of Red Mountain created this mind-bogglingly vast crater. After successfully navigating the treacherous path, we found ourselves in a large chamber, open to the sky on one side, disappearing into the darkness on the other. As we stepped forward, our boots crunched on piles of broken metal as common in dwarven ruins as potsherds and other ancient sites. This was obviously where the looters brought their findings from deeper levels, stripping off the valuable outer casings of the dwarven mechanisms and leaving their innards here, easier than lugging the intact mechanisms back up to the top of the cliff. I laughed to myself, thinking of the many warriors unwittingly walking around Tamriel with pieces of dwarven mechanisms on their backs. For that, of course, is what most dwarven armor really is, just the armored shells of ancient mechanical men. I sobered when I thought of how exceedingly valuable an intact mechanism would be. This place was obviously full of dwarven devices, judging from the litter covering the floor of this vast chamber. Or had been, I've reminded myself. Looters had been working over this site for centuries. Just the casing alone would be worth a small fortune sold as armor. Most dwarven armor is made of mismatched pieces from various devices, hence its reputation for being bulky and unwieldy. But a matched set from an intact mechanism is worth more than its weight in gold, for the pieces all fit together smoothly, and the wearer hardly notices the bulk. Of course, I had no intentions of destroying my finds for armor, no matter how valuable. I would bring it back to the Society for Scientific Study. I imagined the astonished cries of my colleagues as I unveiled it at my next lecture, and smiled again. I picked up a discarded gear from the piles at my feet. It still gleamed brightly, as if new made, the dwarven alloys resisting the corrosion of time. I wondered what secrets remained hidden in the maze of chambers that lay before me, defying the efforts of looters, waiting to gleam again in the light they had not seen in long aeons, waiting for me. It remained only to find them. With an impatient gesture to Master Aram to follow, I strode forward into the gloom. Master Aram, Tenpenny, and I spent several days exploring the ruins, while my assistants set up camp at the top of the cliff and hauled supplies and equipment from the village. I was looking for a promising area to begin excavation, a blocked passage or a corridor untouched by looters that might lead to completely untouched areas of the ruins. We found 2 such areas early on, but soon discovered that the many winding passages bypassed the blockage and gave access to the rooms behind. Nevertheless, even though these outer areas, for the most part stripped clean of artifacts by generations of looters, were full of interest to the professional archaeologist. Behind a massive bronze door burst from its hinges by some ancient turmoil of the earth, we discovered a large chamber filled with exquisite wall carvings, which impressed even the jaded Tenpenny, who claimed to have explored every dwarven ruin in Morrowind. They seemed to depict an ancient ritual of some kind, with a long line of classically bearded dwarven elders processing down the side walls, all seemingly bowing to the giant form of a god carved into the front wall of the chamber, which was caught in the act of stepping forth from the crater of a mountain in a cloud of smoke or steam. According to Master Aram, there are no known depictions of dwarven religious rituals, so this was an exciting find indeed. I set a team to work prying the carved panels from the wall, but they were unable to even crack the surface. On closer examination, the chamber appeared to be faced with a metallic substance with the texture and feel of stone, impervious to any of our tools. I considered having Master Aram try his blasting magic on the walls, but decided that the risk of destroying the carvings was too great. Much as I would have preferred to bring them back to the Imperial City, I had to settle for taking rubbings of the carvings. If my colleagues in society showed enough interest, I was sure a specialist could be found, perhaps a master alchemist who could find a way to safely remove the panels. Yeah, I love that. Hawela Luda, feed the dino emote. I feed another curious room at the top of a long, winding stair, barely passable due to the fall of rubble from the roof. At the top of the stair was a domed chamber with a large ruined mechanism at its center. Painted constellations were still visible in some places on the surface of the dome. Master Aram and I agreed that this must have been some kind of observatory, and the mechanism was therefore the remains of a dwarven telescope. To remove it from the ruins down the narrow stairway would require its complete disassembly, which fact no doubt had preserved it from the attention of looters. So I decided to leave it in place for the time being. The existence of this observatory suggested, however, that this room had once been above the surface. Closer examination of the structure revealed that this was indeed a building, not an excavated chamber. The only other doorways from the room were completely blocked, and careful measurements from the top of the cliff to the entry room and then to the observatory revealed that we were still more than 250 feet below the present ground level. A sobering reminder of the forgotten fury of Red Mountain. This discovery led us to focus our attentions downward. Since we now knew approximately where the ancient surface lay, we could rule out many of the higher blocked passages. One wide passage, impressively flanked with carved pillars, particularly drew my interest. It ended in a massive rock fall, but we could see where looters had begun and then abandoned a tunnel through this debris. With my team of diggers and Master Arms Majory to assist, I believed we could succeed where our predecessors had failed. I therefore set my team of dark elves to work on clearing the passage, relieved finally to be beginning the real exploration of Kamel Z. Soon, I hoped, my boots would be stirring up dust that had lain undisturbed since the dawn of time. With this exciting prospect before me, I may have driven my diggers a bit too hard. Tenpenny reported that they were beginning to grumble about the long days, and that some were talking of quitting. Knowing from experience that nothing puts heart back into these dark elves like a taste of the lash, I had the ringleaders whipped and the rest confined to the ruins until they had finished clearing the passageway. Hey, welcome, Jojo Rain. It's great to have you. Thanks. It's like a freight train, We've been narrating for a solid two and some hours. We've been doing a lot of reading. I feel like the more you speak, the more you can get into like a nice kind of like niche, yeah, but welcome. Thanks, Stendar, for my foresight in requisitioning a few legionaries from Saidanin. They were sullen at first, but with the promise of an extra day's wages when they broke through, they soon set to work with a will. While these measures may sound harsh to my readers back in the comforts of civilization, let me assure you that there is no other way to get these people to stick to a task. The blockage was much worse than I had first thought, and in the end it took almost 2 weeks to clear the passage. The diggers were as excited as I was when their picks finally broke through the far end into emptiness, and we shared around the local liquor together. A foul concoction, in truth. What's the longest book you've read so far? Honestly, I remember the exact book, Superjank. It was The Real Baronzaya, Part 2. Which is a 5-part book series we've only read the second part of. It was like 50 pages long. This is also a long book, what we're on right now. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. To show that all was forgiven, I could hardly restrain my eagerness as they enlarged the hole to allow entry into the chamber beyond. Would the passage lead to entire new levels of the ancient city, filled with artifacts left by the vanished dwarves? Or would it be only a dead end, some side passage leading nowhere? I feel like if you're going to spend this much time reading, you've got to work on your radio voice, right? Like, in a way, the whole thing is an opportunity to practice your radio voice. Partially. My excitement grew as I slid through the hole and crouched for a moment in the darkness beyond. From the echoing sounds of the stones rattling beneath my feet, I was in a large room, perhaps very large. I stood up carefully and unhooded my lantern. As the light flooded the chamber, I looked around in astonishment. Here were wonders beyond even my wildest dreams. As the light from my lamp filled the chamber beyond the rockfall, I looked around in astonishment. Everywhere was the warm glitter of dwarven alloys. I had found an untouched section of the ancient city. My heart pounding with excitement, I looked around me. The room was vast, the roof soaring up into darkness beyond the reach of my lamp, the far end lost in shadows, with only a tantalizing glimmer hinting at treasures not yet revealed. Along each wall stood rows of mechanical men, intact except for one oddity. Their heads had been ritually removed and placed on the floor at their feet. This could mean only one thing. I had discovered the tomb of a great dwarven noble, maybe even a king. Burials of this type had been discovered before, most famously by Ransom's expedition to Hammerfell, but no completely intact tomb had ever been found until now. You ever guess you get to read Skyrim books to strangers online? Honestly, no, Jojo. Honestly, I didn't even intend to read the books when I started playing. I'm trying to think when I started. Like, what was the point we decided to do this? I don't even know. I feel like I opened the first book. I feel like I started the game and I was just like, yeah, let's just read all of the text. And I feel like I just have not yet given up. But we have this spreadsheet we're keeping that keeps track of all of them. So we know for sure. So we know for sure when we're done, you know? You know, I'm not intimidated by the game. I'm not intimidated by the game and its content, okay? I will consume this content. But if this was truly a royal burial, where was the tomb? I stepped forward gingerly, the rows of headless bodies standing silently as they had for eons, their disembodied eyes seeming to watch me as I passed. I had heard wild tales of the curse of the dwarves, but had always laughed it off as superstition. But now, breathing the same air as the mysterious builders of this city, which had lain undisturbed since the cataclysm that spelled their doom, I felt a twinge of fear. There was some power here. Beep, beep, ribby, ribby. Thanks, Jojo. I felt something malevolent that resented my presence. I stopped for a moment and listened. All was silent. I have two things to say about this. One is that, unironically, it's cool to read all of these stories because they will contribute to the atmosphericness of the rest of the game. Because unironically, we will go to all of these places, right? Like, we will go to Dwarven Ruins and we'll go to a lot of these places and get snippets of this lore. And so, like, seeing it now, we'll just be in a position to just be like armchair loring the whole thing. We'll be like, well, actually, it said in the book Azura and the Box that that's not the case. Yo, I'm Key, welcome. Welcome. Thank you so much for the raid, I'm Key. How's it going? Thanks for the raid. Jump King. How are you feeling about Jump King, I'm Key? What a game, what a game. We need an auto summary in that spreadsheet to see how many complete / total. So, Kali, here's what I have, okay? Here's what I have. Okay. I have... Here's my formula, okay? You tell me, Kali. You tell me. How do I do this? I don't know. Okay, but I count the Y's in this column. That's the best I can do. Is that good, Kali? Can you educate me about spreadsheet formulas? See, but I looked up the docs. I did. Welcome everybody from Mind Peace channel. We're doing just a crazy read through of Morrowind here. I hope you all had a great stream. iios has this thing where if she starts something, she just can't quit. It is true. It really is true. So I'm unironically enjoying this a lot because yeah, I think it's gonna enhance our appreciation of the rest of the game once we finally get to the rest of the game. Yeah, I'll put together maybe a percentage thing or something, but you know, for the most part, it's just, I think just having the number up there is fine as it is. Just having a way to count, that's easy. And then I toss it in the title. All right, once we finish this book, we can watch the next episode of the Super Mario Super Show. I just have been trying to get through this to the end of this book before we do that. Except, it seemed I heard a faint hiss, regular as breathing. I fought down a sudden surge of panic. I was unarmed, not thinking of danger in my haste to explore past the blocked passage. Sweat dripped down my face as I scanned the gloom for any movement. The room was warm, I suddenly noticed, much warmer than the rest of the labyrinth thus far. My excitement returned. Could I have found a section of the city still connected to a functioning steam grid? Pipes ran along the walls, as in all sections of the city. I walked over and placed my hand on one. It was hot, almost too hot to the touch. Now I saw that in places where the ancient piping had corroded, small jets of steam were escaping, the sound I had heard. I laughed at my own credulity. Banana slamma! I now advanced quickly to the far end of the room, giving a cheerful salute to the ranks of mechanical soldiers who had appeared so menacing only moments before. There's a game that goes with these books? We think. Supposedly. You know, games back in the day, blarg, people used to read books for 80 hours in their games. You know, that was content. You know, these modern gamers, they have short attention spans. But every game was like this, you know, in the 2000s. Every game would have a 200,000 word script or whatever. And every gamer loved it. They said thank you, publishers and developers. I mean, probably, right? I now advanced... Yes. Fair. I now advanced quickly to the far end of the room, giving a cheerful salute to the ranks of mechanics. I smiled with triumph as the light swept back to the darkness of centuries to reveal the giant effigy of a dwarven king standing on a raised dais, his metal hand clutching his rod of office. This was the prize indeed. I circled the dais slowly, admiring the craftsmanship of the ancient dwarves. The Golden King stood 20 feet tall under a freestanding domed cupola, his long upswept beard jutting forward proudly, as his glittering metal eyes seemed to follow me. But my superstitious mood had passed, and I gazed benevolently at the old dwarven king. My king, as I had already begun to think of him. I stepped onto the dais to get a better look at the sculpted armor. Suddenly, the eyes of the figure opened, and it raised a mailed fist to strike. I leapt to one side as the golden arm came crashing down, striking sparks from the steps where I had stood a moment before. With a hiss of steam and the whir of gears, the giant figure stepped ponderously out from under its canopy and strode towards me with frightening speed, its eyes tracking me as I scrambled backwards. I dodged behind a pillar as the fist whistled down again. I had dropped my lantern in the confusion, and now I crept into the darkness outside the pool of light, hoping to slip between the headless mechanisms and thus escape back to the safety of the passageway. Where had the monster gone? You would think that a 20-foot golden king would be hard to miss, but he was nowhere to be seen. The guttering lamp only illuminated a small part of the room. He could be hiding anywhere in the gloom. I crawled faster. Without warning, the dim ranks of dwarven soldiers in front of me went flying as the monstrous guardian loomed before me. He had cut off my escape. As I dodged backwards, blow after blow whistled down as the implacable machine followed me relentlessly, driving me into the far corner of the room. At last, there was nowhere left for me to go. My back was to the wall. I glared up at my foe, determined to die on my feet. The huge fists lifted for one final blow. Yeah, totally. Me too, Jojo. Honestly, and that's the fun part about streaming. If I was not streaming, I would never play the game this way. I wouldn't read this text. I would be like, this is not relevant to my gameplay experience. But because we're together, we can cherish this moment of reading every single book in the game. How special. How special. Really, because honestly, how many more times in your life do you think you will listen to every single book in the game of Morrowind read out loud? How many times? Together we can achieve anything. It's true, Collie. The room blazed with sudden light. Bolts of purple energy crackled across the metal carapace of the dwarven monster. And it halted, half turning to meet this new threat. Master Aram had come. I was about to raise a cheer when the giant figure turned back to me, unharmed by the lightning bolt hurled by Master Aram, determined to destroy this first intruder. I shouted out, "Steam! Steam!" as the giant raised his fists to crush me into the floor. There was a hiss and a gust of bitter cold, and I looked up. The monster was now covered with a shell of ice, frozen in the very moment of dispatching me. Master Aram had understood. I leaned against the wall with relief. The ice cracked above me. The giant gold king stood before me, the shell of ice falling away, his head swiveling towards me in triumph. Was there no stopping this dwarven monstrosity? But then the light faded from his eyes, and his arms dropped to his sides. The magical frost had worked, cooling its steam-driven energy. As Master Aram and the diggers crowded around me, congratulating me on my narrow escape, my thoughts drifted. I imagined my return to the Imperial City, and I knew that this would be my greatest triumph yet. How could I possibly top this find? Perhaps it was the time to move on. Recovering the fabled eye of Argonia, now that would be a coup. I smiled to myself, reveling in the glory of the moment, but already planning my next adventure. Yoheaburn, welcome. If you don't read a lot of the books, the main endgame doesn't make much sense. Books. I dig that. I honestly dig that. Like, as much as talking to individual characters is cool, I feel like without being able to eyeball who these people are, it's just going to be completely confusing. RX. Wow. So body. Not allowed. Not allowed. You know, they must not have been, you know, it's when you read it on a page though, you know, it sounds fine, but then when you hear it out loud, oh, how do they make it so body like that? Oh my god, cat. This cat is out of control, okay? Out of control. I don't know what's to be done with this. Oh, okay, she's flopped down on my keyboard. Shoot, okay, seriously now, Minnie, I'm not. Okay. As much as I do love her, I can't like be giving her treats to be, you know, after she does this, and I need to be keeping her off my desk. Anyway, that's Minnie Pie. Thank you for sharing that, Delta. Amazing. Amazing. And now we're back. We're back in reading mode. Plopped down. Sure, it happened. We've read Saryani's sermons. Lucky us. Lucky us. Mixed Unit Tactics. Volume 1. Yeah, and then the sound on the game comes back. Great. Mixed Unit Tactics. Volume the 1st. Amazing. Amazing. Moving on up. In our book reading, Mixed Unit Tactics in the 5 Years' War, Volume 1, by Codus Kalanas. The legions could learn from the unconventional tactics used by the Khajiit in the 5 Years' War against Valenwood. I was stationed at the Sphinx Moth Legion Fort on the border near Dune and witnessed many of the northern skirmishes firsthand. The war started with the so-called slaughter of Torval. The Khajiit claimed that the Bosmer invaded the city without provocation and killed over 1,000 citizens before being driven off by reinforcements from a nearby jungle tribe. The Bosmer claimed that the attack was in retaliation for Khajiiti bandits who were attacking wood caravans headed for Valenwood. In the spring of Third Era 396, the war moved closer to Fort Sphinxmoth. I was posted on lookout and saw parts of the conflict. I later spoke with both Khajiit and Bosmer who fought in the battle, and it will serve as an excellent example of how the Khajiit use a mixture of ground and tree units to win the war. The Khajiit begin the fight in an unusual way by sending tree-cutting teams of Cathay Rat and the fearsome Sench Rat, or battle cats, into the outskirts of Valenwood's forest. When word reached the Bosmer that trees were being felled, allegedly a crime in the strange Bosmeri religion, a unit of archers were dispatched from larger conflicts in the south. The Bosmer were thus goaded into splitting their forces into smaller groups. The Bosmer archers took up positions in the remaining trees, whose branches were now 20 or more feet apart, allowing some light into the forest floor. The Bosmer bent the remaining trees with their magics into small fortifications from which to fire their bows. When the tree cutters arrived the next morning, a half-dozen Khajiit fell to the Bosmer arrows in the first volley. After that, the Khajiit took large wooden shields from the backs of the Senshrat and made a crude shelter. The Khajiit, even the enormous Senshrat, were able to hide behind this shelter and one of the larger trees. When it became apparent that the Khajiit would not leave their shelter, some Bosmer choose to descend and engage the Khajiit's sword to claw. When the Bosmer were nearly upon the shelter, one of the Khajiit began playing on a native instrument of plucked metal bars. This was a signal of some kind, and a small group of the man-like Ohms and Ohms rot emerged from covered holes in the forest floor. Although outnumbered, they were attacking from behind by surprise and won the ground quickly. Back in the day, that was how you made kids programming that would not drive the parents insane. That was like practically a show. That was like Animaniacs being like practically a show for adults, I would say. Like, no child is going to understand all of those references. The Bosmer archers in the trees would have still won the battle were they not having troubles of their own. A group of Doggy and Doggy Rot, two of the less common forms of Khajiit who live in the trees of the Tenmar forest, jumped from one tree to another under a magical cover of silence. They took up positions in the higher branches that could not hold a Bosmer's weight. When the signal came, they used their claws and either torches or spells of fire. Accounts from the two survivors I spoke with vary on this point, to distract the archers while the battle on the ground took place. A few of the archers were able to flee, but most were killed. Apparently, the Doggy and Doggy Rot have more magical ability than is widely believed, if they were able to keep themselves magically silenced for so long. One of the surviving Bosmer told me that he saw a few ordinary cats among the Doggy, and even claimed that these ordinary cats are known as Alfik, and that they were the spellcasters. But Bosmer are almost as unreliable as the Khajiit when it comes to the truth, and I cannot believe that a house cat can cast spells. At the end of the day, the Khajiit lost perhaps a half-dozen fighters, out of a force of no more than 4 dozen, while the Bosmer lost nearly an entire company of archers. The survivors were unable to report back before a second company of archers arrived, and this strategy was repeated again, with similar results. Finally, a much larger force was sent, and the Bosmer won that battle with the help of the native animals of Valenwood. That third skirmish and the Khajiiti response I will discuss in the second volume of this series. Read all the books! Fuck yeah, Ham, I'm reading them. I'm reading as hard as I can. I'm doing it for you, Ham, okay? I hope you appreciate that. Lives of the Saints is our next book. Yeah, I stumbled into a bookseller shop, Ham, and in hindsight, I should maybe have avoided the bookseller shop if I didn't want to be stuck reading every book that the bookseller sells. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? But here we are. Decisions were made. If you would be wise, model your lives on the lives of the saints. They snuck subversive stuff into all kinds of kids programming. Even Disney did it. I think it was a kind of behind-the-scenes competition among people in the industry. I bet a lot of them knew each other across studio boundaries. Yeah, I think that makes sense, honestly. You know, it was kind of like they were kind of making content for them. You know, it was like adults really making content for kids, but also for themselves on a certain level. Animaniacs had a long tradition of hiding adult references, going back to Rocky and Bullwinkle. Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies. Yeah, I'm sure watching them afresh, I would see so many details that would have never stuck out to me. And yeah. And if you would learn valor, follow Saint Nerevar the Captain, patron of warriors and statesmen. Lord Nerevar helped to unite the barbarian Dunmer tribes into a great nation, culminating in his martyrdom when leading the Dunmer to victory against the evil Dwemer and the traitorous House Dagoth in the Battle of Red Mountain. If you would learn daring, follow Saint Veloth the Pilgrim, patron of outcasts and spiritual seekers. Saint Veloth prophet and mystic, led the Dunmer out of the decadent home country of the Somerset Isles and into the promised land of Morrowind. Saint Veloth also taught the difference between the good and bad Daedra, and won the aid of the good Daedra for his people, while teaching how to carefully negotiate with the bad Daedra. If you would learn generosity, follow Saint Rilms the Barefooted, patron of pilgrims and beggars. Saint Rilms gave away her shoes, then dressed and appeared as a beggar to better acquaint herself with the poor. If you would learn self-respect and respect for others, follow Saint Erelor the Penitent, patron of tanners and miners. This foul criminal repented his sins and traveled a circuit of the great pilgrimage on his knees. If you would learn mercy and its fruits, follow Saint Serin the Merciful, patron of brewers, bakers, distillers. This pure virgin of modest aspect could heal all diseases.
If there is a law against friendship,
Queen, thank you.
then lock me up.
Lock me up, Queen.
But if there isn't,
Then
the
show must go onward. The show goes onward, Queen. Holy shit. Thank you so much for converting your faith. You know, really, first and foremost, Queen, thank you for helping me to test that the Prime to paid subscription upgrade user notice still works. I honestly didn't even really know for sure, but now I do. Now I do, Queen. And that's awesome. Thank you so much for converting. It'll be fantastic to have you next month, and the month after that, and the month after that. Yeah, thanks. This pure virgin, yeah, could, at the price of taking the disease upon herself. Tough-minded and fearless, she took on the burdens of others and bore those burdens to an honored old age. If you would learn fierce justice, follow Saint Valms the Bold, patron of butchers and fishmongers. It was a 6-month renewal. Oh, and it doesn't even say that in the upgrade. Oh, that's amazing, Queen. Wow, holy cannoli. Well, the way it works is that you won't actually be charged until your Prime sub runs out. So maybe once that happens, you'll be able to share another user notice that says 6 months. That should be the way it works. We'll find out together, Queen. I'm so excited. Well, holy cannoli. This brave warlord slew the Nord invaders and drove them from our lands. He could neither read nor write, receiving inspiration directly from the lips of Almsivi. If you will learn pride of race and tribe, follow Saint Rory, the martyr, patron of furnishers and caravanners. Captured by Argonians just before the Arnesian War, Rory proudly refused to renounce the tribunal faith and withstood the cruel tortures of Argonian sorcerers. Vengeance and justice for the martyred Saint Rory was the rallying cry of the Arnesian War. If you would learn the rule of law and justice, follow Saint Olms the Just, patron of chandlers and clerks. Founder of the Ordinators, St. Olms conceived and articulated the fundamental principles of testing, ordeal, and repentance. Yo, Cleaver, holy shit.
You're going to have to
Dance for it. Dance for me, Cleaver. Yes. Yeah, grooving it. Moving it. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Cleaver Chef is going to have
Cheers,
to dance
Cleaver.
for it.
And then we all had to dance for it. Seriously, thank you so much, Cleaver. That's really so generous of you. It's great to have you. I hope you enjoy your emotes, your fun frog emotes. How do we feel about iios Scooey, huh? iios Scooey, anybody? I feel like we need to start an iios emote battle royale. That's what I feel like. I feel like we need, like, you know, like a fight to the death of the emotes. I sure do love me some iios Scooey. Founder of the Ordinators, St. Olms conceived and articulated the fundamental principles of testing, ordeal, and repentance. If you would learn benevolence, follow Saint Delin the Wise, patron of potters and glassmakers. Saint Delin was head of House Induril, a skilled lawyer and author of many learned treatises on tribunal law and custom. You've been missing iios Fatal as a subscriber emote. I wasn't sure. This is good to know, Austin. I was looking at the analytics. I didn't see too many friends using iios Fatal. We could put iios Fatal back. Where would we put it? Let's talk about it. Smash cut to talking about emotes. Where should we put it? Let's say we would have to replace ios Skui, but I do love having my rotating slot, but I do love ios Mime. Yes, Cleaver, I am indeed thinking, as we were playing this, I am thinking about the writers, the authors, the editors. I'm honestly, Cleaver, what I'm thinking of is like, of the person who was tasked, they were like, okay, write us 30 books. That's what they were like. They were like, write us 30 books. And then they had like 12 people do that. And then they all, like, just an absurd amount of work went into this on a certain level, Cleaver. And so it is cool to bear witness to what they went through. Such a tasteful expression of dissatisfaction. You said ios Skui more than once while looking at the temperature for the next week. Oof, yeah, it's going to be a doozy. And talking smack, of course, Cleaver. Yeah, yeah. Good times were had. All right, well, I don't know. Did we get rid of ios Mime? God, ios Mime, though. Big ios Mime energy. It's tough. It's a tough one. Toughy. It hurts me to remove it. Austin, it hurts, okay? We could take out ios Squint. We have ios Shade. I don't even know. This is harder than I thought it would be. Well, I'll think about it. We'll think about it a little more, Austin, but nothing is jumping out at me. It is tough. It is tough. I love it when KQ uses ios Mime. You know, nothing makes me happier than seeing KQ just go ios Mime. Perfect. Perfection. Mission accomplished. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to, yeah, who wrote all of this stuff? I hope it was multiple people. I hope it was not just like one person in a room for like 3 years, just like writing lore. If you would learn the love of peace, follow Saint Marie, the peacemaker, patron of farmers and laborers. As a little girl, Saint Marie showed healing gifts and trained as a healer. She ended a long and bloody house war, intervening on the battlefield in her white robe to heal warriors and spellcrafters. Without regard to faction, the troops of all houses adopted white robes as her standard and refused to shed the blood of their brethren. If you would learn reverence, follow Saint Lothus the Pious, patron of tailors and dyers, contemporary and companion of the tribunals, and the best-loved Almarula of the tribunal temple. He formulated the central rituals and principles in the new temple faith. Saint Lothus is the symbolic mortal bridge between the gods and the faithful, and the archetypal priest. And it's like more than just the people wrote them. There's actually like a bunch of different archetypes of books and stories here, right? So like, what are some of the archetypes we're seeing? There are some books that are written as like actual like historical documents that are like a historian wrote them, and it's like a historian is talking about historical events and talking about their primary references. There are some of them that are like first person stories. There are some of them that are like, you know, propaganda. There are some of them, yeah, they're like official histories and unofficial histories. And so it's like really interesting to see the different 8 people worked on it. That's a lot of writers. Writing and quest design. Todd Howard worked on writing and quest design for this. I wonder if it's the Todd Howard. The Todd Howard? Interesting. I'm gonna assume it is. Invocation of Azura. Invocation of Azura. This brings us up to 43 books. 43 big ones. Invocation of Azura by Sigilla Parate. For 300 years, I have been a priestess of Azura, the Daedric princess of Moonshadow, mother of the rose and queen of the night sky. Every Hoggathum, which we celebrate on the 21st of First Seed, we summon her for guidance, as well as to offer things of worth and beauty to her majesty. She is a cruel but wise mistress. We do not invoke her on any Hoggatham troubled by thunderstorms, for those nights belong to the mad one, Sheogorath, even if they do coincide with the occasion. Azura at such times understands our caution. Azura's invocation is a very personal one. I have been priestess to 3 other Daedric princes, but Azura values the quality of her worshippers and the truth behind our adoration of her. When I was a dark elven maid of 16, I joined my grandmother's coven, worshippers of Molag Bal, the schemer prince. Blackmail, extortion, and bribery are as much the weapons of the witches of Molag Bal as is dark magic. The invocation of Molag Bal is held on the 20th of Evening Star, except during storming weather. This ceremony is seldom missed, but Molag Bal often appears to his cultists in mortal guise on other dates. When my grandmother died in an attempt to poison the air of Firewatch, I re-examined my faith in the cult. My brother was a warlock of the cult of Boethia, and from what he told me, the Dark Warrior was closer to my spirit than the treacherous Molag Bal. Boethia is a warrior prince who acts more overtly than any other Daedra. After years of skulking and scheming, it felt good to perform acts for a master which had direct, immediate consequences. Besides, I liked it that Boethia was a Daedra of the Dark Elves. Our cult would summon him on the day we called the Gauntlet, the 2nd of Sun's dusk. Bloody competitions would be held in his honor, and the duels and battles would continue until 9 cultists were killed at the hands of other cultists. Boethia cared little for his cultists. He only cared for our blood. I do think I saw him smile when I accidentally slew my brother in a sparring session. My horror, I think, greatly pleased him. I left the cult soon after that. Boethia was too impersonal for me, too cold. Look at this person. Look at this person cult jumping, from one to the next, Like a cult hopper over here. Pick one. Settle down. Goddamn. I wanted a mistress of greater depth. For the next 18 years of my life, I worshipped no one. Instead, I read and researched. It was in an old and profane tomb that I came upon the name of Nocturnal. Nocturnal, the night mistress. Nocturnal, the unfathomable. As the book prescribed, I called to her on her holy day, the 3rd of Hearthfire. At last I had found the personal mistress I had so long desired. Get in line. I strove to understand her labyrinthine philosophy, the source of her mysterious pain. Everything about her was dark and shrouded, even the way she spoke and the acts she required of me. It took years for me to understand that the simple fact that I could never understand Nocturnal. Her mystery was as essential to her as savagery was to Boethia, or treachery was to Molag Bal. To understand Nocturnal is to negate her, to pull back the curtains cloaking her realm of darkness. As much as I loved her, I recognized the futility of unraveling her enigmas. I turned instead to her sister, Azura. Yeah, but every time you switch from one cult to another, you start one rank higher in the hierarchy. Yeah, I guess it just makes sense why they do it that way. Better pay, better position. You get to sleep higher in the human pyramid. Azura is the only Daedra princess I have ever worshipped who seems to care about her followers. Molag Bal wanted my mind, Boethia wanted my arms, and Nocturnal perhaps my curiosity. Azura wants all of that, and our love above all. Not our abject slavering, but our honesty and genuine caring in all its forms. It is important to her that our emotions be engaged in her worship, and our love must also be directed inward. If we love her and hate ourselves, she feels our pain. I will, for all time, have no other mistresses. Damn. Big. Next up. Ahoy!
Ahoy there.
Ahoy, Doom Calamari. You caught me at a good time. How's it going? Next up, overview of gods and worship. Scooey, making progress. Bum, 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 bum. Don't worry, I'm sure that it'll take another 100 hours before I get tired of this music. I had to wait. I didn't want to interrupt. No, thank you, Doom. That's really kind of you. Hope you're having a great evening. An overview of gods and worship in Tamriel by Brother Hetchfield. Editor's note: Brother Hetchfield is an associate scribe at the Imperial University, Office of Introductory Studies. Gods are commonly judged upon the evidence of their interest in worldly matters. A central belief in the active participation of deities in mundane matters can be challenged by the reference to apparent apathy and indifference on the part of gods during times of plague or famine. From an intervention in legendary quests to manifestations in common daily life, no pattern for the gods of Tamriel activities is readily perceived. The concerns of gods in many ways may seem unrelated or at best unconcerned with the daily trials of the mortal realm. The exceptions do exist, however. Many historical records and legends point to the direct intervention of one or more gods at times of great need. Many heroic tales recount blessings of the divinity bestowed upon heroic figures who worked or quested for the good of a deity or the deity's temple. Some of the more powerful artifacts in the known world were originally bestowed upon their owners through such reward. It has also been reported that priests of high ranking in their temples may on occasion call upon their deity for blessings or help in the time of need. The exact nature of such contact and the blessings bestowed is given much speculation, as the temples hold such associations secret and holy. This direct contact gives weight to the belief that the gods are aware of the mortal realm. In many circumstances, however, that these same gods will do nothing in the face of suffering and death, seeming to feel no need to interfere. It is thus possible to conclude that we as mortals may not be capable of understanding more than a small fraction of the reasoning and logic such beings use. One defining characteristic of all gods and goddesses is their interest in worship and deeds. Deeds in the form of holy quests are just one of the many things that bring the attention of a deity. Deeds in everyday life, by conforming to the statutes and obligations of individual temples, are commonly supposed to please a deity. Performance of ceremony in a temple may also bring a deity's attention. Ceremonies vary according to the individual deity. The results are not always apparent, but sacrifice and offerings are usually required to have any hope of gaining a deity's attention. While direct intervention in daily temple life has been recorded, the exact nature of the presence of a god in daily mundane life is a subject of controversy. A traditional saying of the wood elves is that one man's miracle is another man's accident. While some gods are believed to take an active part in daily life, others are well known for their lack of interest in temporal affairs. It has been theorized that gods do in fact gain strength from such things as worship through praise, sacrifice, and deed. It may even be theorized that the number of worshippers a given deity has may reflect on his overall position among the other gods. This is my own conjecture, garnered from the apparent ability of the larger temples to attain blessings and assistance from their god with greater ease than smaller religious institutions. There are reports of the existence of spirits in our world that have the same capacity to use the actions and deeds of mortals to strengthen themselves as do the gods. The understanding of the exact nature of such creatures would allow us to understand with more clarity the connection between a deity and the deity's worshippers. The implication of the existence of such spirits leads to the speculation that these spirits may even be capable of raising themselves to the level of a god or goddess. Mochusuo of the Imperial Seminary has suggested that these spirits may be the remains of gods and goddesses who through time lost all or most of their following, reverting to their earliest, most basic form. Practitioners of the old ways say that there are no gods, just greater and lesser spirits. Perhaps it is possible for all three theories to be true.
Yes, madame. What is it?
Ignore me. I'm just browsing. I'm just browsing. Thank you. I'm just browsing. All right. Well, we finished this bookcase. We read all of the books on this bookshelf. They probably read Terry Pratchett's book, Small Gods. Yeah. It's interesting. All of these books have inspiration. All of them were very intentional. you know? I think that's what I really appreciate about them. All right, well, don't count them. The true nature of orcs. Oh, we've read this. Nice. Okay, we've read this. Okay. A, B, C's for barbarians. Defiant.
Thank you for controlling yourself sexually.
Thank you.
We spend time together on this adventure.
Thank you for controlling yourself sexually.
Defiant Styles is controlling themselves sexually. 3 months.
Which I
I've got
love.
So much more to go. iios Hyperway.
So much more controlling to go. Defiant, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the 3 months. I really appreciate it. 3 months in a row, no less. 3 months of such amazing content. As reading every book in Morrowind. I hope you're having a great week, Defiant. I hope things are going great. You're no longer a little egg frog. Your badge has grown into a little baby frog, a little angry baby frog. Miss Ose, how's your night? Oh, it's going. Oh, Swift. I walked about 10 steps in the game, and I walked into this. And if you'll notice on the screen, there's some number of books. A couple dozen. Let's just call it a couple dozen books.
Oh.
Writers read, appreciate, and are influenced by other writers on down through the ages, indeed. And so we are influenced as well. Let us be influenced. I'm a pollywog. Heck yeah. Defiant. Heck yeah. How's it going, Swift? I hope you're having a good night. What have you gotten up to? A is for Atronak. B is for Bungler's Bane. C is for Conberry. Best book of the game. Probably the best book I've read. Next book. The Pig Children. Hey, look, this is a 2-pager. Short and sweet. Just like Hemingway. the Pig Children. Fascinating. Okay. I think it's easy to just feel just inundated by all of this detail, and I'm surfing the wave. I'm surfing the content wave of those 8 people whose names I will read: Douglas Goodall, Mark E. Nelson, Ken Rolston, Bill Burcham, Ted Howard, Michael Kirkbride, Ted Peterson, and Todd Vaughn. Thank you. Thank you for your effort. Yeah, somebody spent hours trying to make these stories compelling. And I just don't know, like, there's not enough structure around them. If I could offer a criticism, these books, it's a certain effect, but I think you could make the experience of these more compelling. Like, part of me would, like, I feel I'm unsure whether I would say, like, oh, there's too much content and you should edit it down. Or I would say it's too unstructured. You should structure it slightly more. Like the fact that you can get a stat increase from reading books is a good start, but like, I don't know. I feel like in the grand scheme of things, the writing in these books actually gets underappreciated, right? Because by and large, at least in my experience, it's rare for people to read more than a couple of these. Boring. I need to know what happens in the Lusty Argonian Mate. It might be in this bookshelf. Defiant. Stay tuned. It might be in this bookshelf. Any book could be the Lusty Argonian Mate. Get this Todd Howard clown on the horn. Yeah, seriously. Fucking maniac. The Pig Children by Tistin Bane. No one, not the oldest dark elf of Mount Dagoth-Ur or the ancient sage of solitude himself, can recall a time when the orc did not ravage our fair Tamriel. Whatever foul and pestilent Daedra of oblivion conjured them up could scarcely have created a more constant threat to the well-being of the civilized races of Tamriel than the obnoxious orc. Orcs are thankfully easy to recognize from other humanoids by their size, commonly 40 pertons in height and 15,000 angades in weight. Their brutal pig-like features and their stench, their consistently belligerent, morally grotesque, intellectually moronic and unclean. By all rights, the civilized races of Tamriel should have been able to purge the land of their blight eras ago, but their ferocity, animal cunning, and curious tribal loyalty have made them inevitable as leeches in a stagnant pool. Wow. Oh, mega yikes. I feel like I'm witnessing like what is essentially like race hate, like a propagandistic race hate document in the world of Skyrim. How terrible. You know, orcs are people too, okay? Seriously. Seriously. Pilgrim's Path, we have read Pilgrim's Path. He's too busy re-releasing Skyrim. 2 copies of the Pig Children? Jesus. Honk honk, dude. I don't know how successful games spec'd out these things. You're guessing it was a couple of points they wanted to get out on a lot of leeway. Yeah, and I just like, I feel like they left some value on the table. You know, like I feel like they could have done better by this content. As it is, it creates this impression of like an overwhelming amount of detail, and that's like cool in a way. I don't know though. I feel like they could have achieved an even greater cultural impact with this writing. Because honestly, yeah, I would agree. The quality of this writing is pretty high, and I say that unironically, and I say that as somebody who I've sat here and we've spent thousands of hours reading, game writing, and most of it is not like extremely compelling, at least in, you know, the games that we're playing. There are like outliers, but like this is like the level of consistency here is staggering. It's like all above, significantly above average in terms of writing. It's much better than the books in Oblivion and Skyrim for the most part. That's interesting, actually. I'm really impressed. I would not be sticking with this if I wasn't actually enjoying the reading, you know. If dolphins are people, then so are orcs, or Orsimer. I think we'll meet some orc people. I think maybe we've met some orc people already. You think they cared about the books a lot more in this one than in those games? Like, honestly, if anything, it feels like it was like, oh, when we made Morrowind, we made 200 books. Why don't we, you know, and like, it was almost like they set the bar so high here that how could you ever match it? How could you ever put as much care into this as this team did into this set of books? You know, you would never, like, it would just be really, it's a very high bar. Yeah, a lot of people took this really seriously for years, you know. Vivek and Mephala. Who is Almsivi? Morrowind is holy country, and its gods are flesh and blood. Collectively, these gods are called the Tribunal, the Triune Almsivi, 3 deities exemplifying Dunmeri virtues. Alm Alexia is mercy, Vivek is mastery, and Sothasil is mystery. Vivek is easily the most popular of them all, for he is the beloved warrior poet of the true people, paradoxically beautiful and bloody. Vivek is an artist of violence? Vivek is represented in temple literature and liturgy as one of the divine kings of Morrowind. He guards the sacred Valathi subcontinent of Vardenfell and stands guard over Red Mountain, the gate to hell. He is part of the Holy Tribunal, a god of the new temple, and an aspect of the blessed and righteous Almsivi. This explicit presentation of Vivek, the guardian god king and warrior poet, is the one most accessible and familiar to Westerners. However, it is important to remember that Vivek is also known to the Dunmer as the transcendent evolution of the Daedra that anticipated him, Black Hands Mephala, a foundation figure of the earliest Chimer. This darker side of Vivek does not appear in the popular literature and liturgy, but is instinctively understood and accepted by the Dunmer as an integral part of Vivek's divine aspect. A more complete appreciation of the complex nature of Vivek requires an understanding of the nature of Vivek's anticipation, Mephala, and the darker themes represented by this Daedra Lord's modes and motivations. Who is Mephala? Each of the 3 tribunes of the temple were represented in the dawn of Chimeri culture by their anticipations. These anticipations are known to the West as the sinister Daedra lords, Azura, Boethia, and Mephala. In temple theology, however, Azura is the anticipation of Sulthasil, the mage lord of Almsivi. Boethia is the anticipation of Almalexia, Almsivi's mother, and lady. Mephala is the anticipation of Vivek. According to legend, under the guidance of these three Daedra lords, a discontented throng of Altmer transformed themselves into a new people and founded a new land. And while Boethia, the so-called Prince of Plots, provided the revolutionary methods needed to bring about this transformation, Mephala was the shadowy implementer of those methods. Yo, hey Graham, welcome. Hey book readers. Any book readers? Any book readers in chat? Tonight you finished a book as well. Tell us. Oh, she's on my earbud. Oh, bye. Okay, bye. That's amazing, Graham. Did you enjoy your book? What kind of book was it? Okay, bye. Okay. Yes, you successfully made it to my lap. The sheer amount of care might be why you like this game more than Oblivion, and it definitely isn't the controls. Yeah. One of these days, we'll experience the game part of this game. You finished Gideon the Ninth, a lovely book about lesbian necromancers in space. Wow. I want to go to there. I definitely think you've mentioned this in the iios books channel, Graham, but that's awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Also, as known in the West, Mephala is the demon of murder, sex, and secrets. All of these themes contain subtle aspects and violent ones: assassination/genocide, courtship/orgy, tact/poetic truths. Mephala is understood paradoxically to contain and integrate these contradictory themes, and all these subtle undercurrents and contradictions are present in the Dunmer concepts of Vivek, even if they are not explicitly described and explained in temple doctrine. The Dunmer do not envision Lord Vivek as a creature of murder, sex, and secrets. Rather, they conceive of Lord Vivek as benevolent king, guardian warrior, poet-artist. But at the same time, unconsciously, they accept the notion of darker, hidden currents beneath Vivek's benevolent aspects. And now I get to do one of the favorite things I get to do with books, which is lend/give the book I finished to a friend. Oh, excellent, Graham. Wow, that would be so lucky if you happen to see a friend soon, and then you could lend it to her or whoever it is. That would be excellent. This is why I hang out with Carlisle and Nocturnal. Nocturnal doesn't try and coerce me towards murder. Yeah. I suppose. You know, I think everybody is kind of... It's not even that everybody's evil, it's just that they're like unknowable gods that just are going to do whatever gods do. For example, one of the most striking persistent myths associated with Vivek is the story that Vivek conspired with his co-rulers, Almalexia and Sothasil, in the murder of Lord Nerevar, the greatest of Dunmer heroes and generals. The story is derived from Ashlander oral tradition and is flatly contradicted by all temple traditions. Nonetheless, the tale is firmly established in the Dunmer imagination, as if to say, of course Vivek would never have conspired to murder Lord Nerevar, but it happened so long ago. Who can know the truth? The public face of Vivek is benign, sensitive, compassionate, and protective of his followers. At the same time, the Dunmer seem irrationally comfortable with the hidden aspects of Vivek, the darker components of violence, lust, and conspiracy associated with the more primitive and ruthless impulses of the anticipations. Okay. Overview of gods and worship. We read this. We read that. The True Nature of Orcs, we read that too. What's up next? Keep them coming, game.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yo, hey, Jonathan. Welcome, Jonathan's Gamecast. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for the follow. Mysterious Akavir. Maybe I'll just close my eyes and spin around, and the next person I see in person will get the book. That seems fair. Yeah, what's the spinning around part? No, it's okay. I don't need to know. You spin if you want to spin, Graham. Spin away. Spin to win. The Mysterious Akavir. Making progress. Alright, that is 48 books read. Holy shoot. If only they could all be as short as the ABCs for barbarians. Okie dokie. Just like Spider Pig. Spider Pig, Spider Pig. Doing everything a Spider Pig can. Sanguine was a bunch of fun too, until I had to annul my marriage to that goat and whatnot. Yeah, you know, trade-offs, Defiant. It's just trade-offs. Just feels like a bit of extra randomization to make things fairer and more balanced. Yeah, handicap, of course, of sorts. My own, wait, what is this, Cleaver? My experience in this kind of work involved trying to translate the drug-fueled ravings of an alien conspiracy theorist who firmly believed that the whole plot of his game had been revealed to him by extraterrestrial beings to warn humanity against the soon-to-be-upon-us robot apocalypse into a coherent narrative that people could follow without access to a pile of cocaine. Fun challenge. Disappointing that I didn't get to keep a copy of all the work I put into it before the project collapsed. R.I.P. Cleaver, oh my god. Incredible. That sounds like a fucking trip unto itself. Well, are you still in touch with the alien conspiracy theorist? How are they doing? Mysterious Akavir. Akavir means Dragonland. Tamriel means Dawn's Beauty. Atmora means Elderwood. Only the Red Guards know what Yokuda ever meant. Akavir is the kingdom of the beasts. No men or mare live in Akavir, though men once did. These men, however, were eaten long ago by the vampiric serpent folk of Saishi. Had they not been eaten, these men would have eventually migrated to Tamriel. Well, of course. The Nords left Atmora for Tamriel. Before them, the elves had abandoned Aldmeris for Tamriel. The Red Guards destroyed Yokuda so they could make their journey. All men and mare know Tamriel is the nexus of creation, where the last war will happen, where the gods unmade Lorkhan and left their adamantine tower of secrets. Who knows what the Akaviri think of Tamriel, but ask yourself, why have they tried to invade it 3 times or more? There are 4 major nations of Akavir: Kamal, Saishi, Tangmo, and Kapotun. Where is Elder Scrolls 6 going? Do we know? Is it Akavir? I feel like they're gonna make it like it's like a builder game or something. No, it's a battle royale game. It will have a strong online component. Yeah, it's gonna be like a Fallout 76 kind of deal. You know. When they are not busy trying to invade Tamriel, they are fighting with each other. Kamal is snow hell. Demons live there, armies of them. Every summer they thaw out and invade Tangmo, but the brave monkey folk always drive them away. Once Adasum Dir Kamal, a king among demons, attempted to conquer Morrowind, but Almalexia and the Underking destroyed him at Red Mountain. He was a published alien conspiracy theory author, John Bell. Interesting. Elder Scrolls 6 Battle Royale. They're just gonna skip to 8, just because, I don't know, because 8. I've heard of battling royals, but this is ridiculous. The royals should battle, Graham, shouldn't they? I think we should, our society should be run like a shonen manga, and it should just be the strongest, are the leaders, right? Seishi is Snake Palace, once the strongest power in Akavir, before the Tiger Dragon came. The Serpent Folk ate all the men of Akavir a long time ago, but still kind of look like them. They are tall, beautiful, if frightening, covered in golden scales, and immortal. They enslave the goblins of the surrounding isles, who provide labor and fresh blood. The holdings of Saishi are widespread. When natives of Tamriel think of the Akaviri, they think of the Serpent Folk, because one ruled the Cyrodiilic Empire for 400 years in the previous era. He was potentate Versidu Shaiye. Wait, what? Is this a fucking conspiracy book? Like, they're literally saying that Versidu Shaiye was a fucking snake person? We read about Versidu Shaiye in another book at the beginning of the stream. I don't think he was a snake person. I suss this. I suss a lot of this. Tang Mo is the 1,000 Monkey Isles. There are many breeds of monkey folk, and they are all kind, brave, and simple, and many are also very crazy. They can raise armies when they must, for all of the other Akaviri nations have, at one time or another, tried to enslave them. They cannot decide who they hate more, the snakes or the demons. But ask one, and he will probably say, snakes. Though once bitter enemies, the monkey folk are now allies with the tiger folk of Kapotun. Kapotun is the tiger dragon's empire. The cat folk here are ruled by the divine Toshraka, the tiger dragon. They are now a very great empire, stronger than Saishi, though not at sea. After the serpent folk ate all the men, they tried to eat all the dragons. They managed to enslave the red dragons, but the black ones had fled to then Potun. A great war was waged, which left both the cats and the snakes weak, and the dragons all dead. Since that time, the catfolk have tried to become the dragons. Tosh Raka is the first to succeed. He is the largest dragon in the world, orange and black, and he has very many new ideas. First, Tosh Raka says, is that we kill all the vampire snakes. Is this a fucking joke? Like, I can't tell if this is like I can't tell if this is meant to be a joke. Is it like fan fiction? Is it like some child wrote fan fiction and inserted it here in the book in game or something? Elder Scrolls Battle Royale is when 99 guards land on some isles and try to halt and out-arrest the singular criminal scum.
War if people knew we had a bleeding rectum?
I don't, Risk and Verse. I don't. First, Tashraka says, is that we will kill all the vampire snakes. Then, the Tiger Dragon Emperor wants to invade Tamriel. Okay. Okay. Mysticism. Beautiful. Beautiful. Is this book number 49? Brings us almost 20% of the way through the books. And that's actually a lot of percentage, if I'm being honest with you. Like, that is, we're moving through, like, we're like at a glut. We're, you know, this is a glut of books. We're a glutton right now for all of this content, all these books. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Well, that's too damn bad. Thank you, Risk and Verse. That's really kind of you. Welcome. It's so good to have you. Thank you for the Prime sub. We are reading every gosh darn book in Morrowind. And eventually playing the game too. I think I'll actually have fun playing the game. Once we spend, you know, 6 hours reading all of the books in Balmora. Yeah, welcome. Enjoy the emotes. Yeah, thank you again. It's so meta. Elder Scrolls 3 was way ahead of its time. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you have to represent the writings of a serious scholar. Sometimes you have to represent the writings of a serious scholar, but really drunk. Or I feel like it was like... I feel like that was actually like a book of... like almost like a religious text of a sort. Like, with like bits and pieces of it filtered down through history. Reading all the documentation and only then starting work. No wonder you went far in tech. Yeah, it's kind of that vibe, Naita. You know, I need to understand all of the story before I can even play the game. Otherwise, how will I know who to murder? Mysticism, The Unfathomable Voyage by Tetronius Lore. Mysticism is the school of sorcery least understood by the magical community, and the most difficult to explain to novice mages. The spell effects commonly ascribed to the school of mysticism are as extravagantly disparate as Soul Trap, the creation of a cell that would hold a victim's spirit after death. I love that they explain all of this bullshit. They explain it all. To telekinesis, the manipulation of objects at a distance. But these effects are simply that, effects. The sorcery behind them is veiled in a mystery that goes back to the oldest civilizations of Tamriel, and perhaps beyond. The Psijics of the Isle of Artaeum have a different term for mysticism, the old way. The phrase becomes bogged in semantic quagmire because the old way also refers to the religion and customs of the Psijics, which may or may not be part of the magic of mysticism. There are few mages who devote their lives to the study of mysticism. The other schools are far more predictable and ascertainable. Mysticism seems to derive power from its conundrums and paradoxes. the act of experimentation, no matter how objectively implemented, can influence magicka by its very existence. Therefore, the mystic mage must consign himself, or herself, or themselves, to finding dependable patterns within a roiling imbroglio of energy. In the time it takes him to devise an enchantment with a consistent trigger and result, his peers and others in the other schools may have researched and documented dozens of new spells and effects. The mystic mage must thus be a patient and relatively uncompetitive philosopher. Method acting a well-read character, yeah. I'm method acting being a good streamer right now. And 3 days a week on twitch.tv. For centuries, mostly during the Second Era, scholarly journals published theory after theory about the aspect or aspects of magicka lumped together under mysticism. In the Mages Guild's tradition of finding answers to all things, respected researchers suggested that mysticism's penultimate energy source was the aetherius itself, or else daedric beings of unimaginable power. Either rationale would explain the seemingly random figurations of mysticism. Some even ventured that mysticism arose from the unused elements of successfully or even unsuccessfully cast spells. Discussion within the Order of Psijics after Artaeum's reappearance has led some scholars to postulate that mysticism is less spiritual in nature as was originally supposed, and that either the intellect or the emotional state of the believer is sufficient to influence its energy configuration and flow. None of these explanations is truly satisfactory taken by itself. For the beginning student of mysticism, it is best simply to learn the patterns distinguishable in the maelstrom of centuries past. The more patterns are discovered, the clearer the remaining ones become, until, of course, they change, for inevitably they have to, and then the journey begins anew. Okay. Frontier, Conquest. This is our 50th book. Conquest and Accommodation. Yo, take it easy, Graham. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you for stopping by. It's lovely to see you as ever. Moving on to the next one. I'm glad I could put you to sleep too, Graham. Put all y'all to sleep. That's okay. I understand. Your boss at the time owned a floppy disk duplication business. Oh my lord. Throw $1 million at him to develop the game while writing a sequel to his last book. Oh my goodness gracious. That sounds like quite an environment to be in, Cleaver. I hope you got paid at least. Big snugs, big snug energy in chat. Frontier, Conquest, and Accommodation, A Social History of Cyrodiil, University of Gwylym Press, 3rd Era, 344. Historians often portray the human settlement of Tamriel as a straightforward process of military expansion of the Nords of Skyrim. In fact, human settlers occupied nearly every corner of Tamriel before Skyrim was even founded. These so-called Nedic peoples include the Proto-Cyrodiils, the ancestors of the Bretons, the Aboriginals of Hammerfell, and perhaps a now-vanished human population of Morrowind. Strictly speaking, the Nords are simply another of these Nedic peoples, the only one that failed to find a method of peaceful accommodation with the elves who already occupied Tamriel. Ysgramor was certainly not the first human settler in Tamriel. In fact, fleeing civil war in Atmora, as the Song of Return states, Ysgramor was following a long tradition of migration from Atmora. Tamriel had served as a safety valve for Atmora for centuries before Ysgramor's arrival. Malcontents, dissidents, rebels, landless younger sons, all made the difficult crossing from Atmora to the new world of Tamriel. New archaeological excavations date the earliest human settlements in Hammerfell, High Rock, and Cyrodiil at M Era? Is M Era before the First Era? M Era 800 to 1000, centuries earlier than Ysgramor, even assuming that the 12 Nord kings prior to Harald were actual historical figures. The Nedic peoples were a minority in a land of elves and had no choice but to live peacefully with the Elder race. In High Rock, Hammerfell, Cyrodiil, and possibly Morrowind, they did just that, and the Nedic peoples flourished and expanded over the last centuries of the Merethic era. The Merethic era, interesting. Only in Skyrim did this accommodation break down, an event recorded in the Song of Return. Perhaps, being close to reinforcements from Atmora, the Proto-Nords did not feel it necessary to submit to the authority of the Skyrim elves. Indeed, the earlier Nord chronicles note that under King Harald, the first historical Nord ruler, First Era 113 to 221, the Atmoran mercenaries returned to their homeland, following the consolidation of Skyrim as a centralized kingdom. Whatever the case, the pattern was set. In Skyrim, expansion would proceed militarily, with human settlement following the frontier of conquest, and the line between human territory and elven territory was relatively clear. But beyond this zone of conflict, the other Nedic peoples continued to merge with their elven neighbors. When the Nord armies of the First Empire finally encountered High Rock and Cyrodiil, they found Bretons and Proto-Cyrodiils already living there among the elves. Indeed, the Nords found it difficult to distinguish between elf and Breton. The two races had already intermingled to such a degree. The arrival of the Nord armies upset the balance of power between the Nedic peoples and the elves. Although the Nords' expansion into High Rock and Cyrodiil was relatively brief, less than 2 centuries, the result was decisive. From then on, power in those regions shifted from the elves to the humans. This is a very random question. Is Lord of the Rings ever going to be in public domain? And if so, when? I guess. And I guess that would vary based on what part of the world you're in. Typical Graham, going to sleep as soon as he hears a woman talking. I don't think that's not something Graham does. Don't be absurd. Alright, Ader on Dater we've read. Origin of the Mages Guild. We've read. You did get paid. It was your first chance to get paid for a creative work. Yeah, and it gave you a story to tell. Yeah, certainly. Nehu Nox, Fire, and Faith. Chunox, Fire and Faith. Cruising on right past 50. Here we go. I'm gonna finish reading these books in the store, I swear to God. Ugh. This book is a translated account of Chunoxic travels among the various colonies of the Dwemer, explaining the theories of Kagranak. I made inquiry as to the state of enlightenment among the people he spoke for. He answered that with respect to the theories of Kagranak, there was but one scholar near who could guide the people through the maze that leads to true understanding. He informed me, however, that in Karaka the precepts of Kagranak were taught. He said that nothing pleased him more than to see the Dwemer of Karaka, the most learned people in the world, studying Kagranak's words and giving consideration to their place in the life to come, and where neither planar division, nor the numeration of amnesia, nor any other thing of utility was more valued than the understanding of the self and its relationship to the heart. What? I was gracious enough to receive this as a high compliment, and removing my helm, I thanked him and departed with an infinity of bows. Close. Hey. Hi. Just browsing. Just browsing, card. Just browsing. I'll decide soon. Mysterious Akavir. We read this? We did. Vampires of Vardenfell, Volume 1. Which we read. The Wild Elves, which we have read. Oh, we're on a roll. Oh, we're cooking. Oh, now we're cooking with gas. Okay. Sorry, I have to tweak this. Here, I'll make this bigger so you can... whatever. That was Volume 1. Right? Sorry, I have to get this right. It's not V1, it's V space I. Okay, get it right. The Wild Elves, we've read it. We've read all this bullshit. Vivek and Mafala, fucking read it. The Changed Ones. Okay, I haven't read this. I can't believe you stumbled into an amateur library and it swallowed the whole stream. You know, this is integrity in gaming, okay? It's about integrity in streaming and gaming is what it's about, Holly. So I hope you're as excited as I am to read the rest of these here books, Scooey. This brings us up to book 52. Book 52, lucky us. I wish I knew the actual number. It would make me feel better if I knew the actual number of books, but I do not. Changed Ones. I would think that eventually Tolkien's published works will enter the public domain, but his estate will continue to exercise trademark and copyright control over the characters' names, etc. Yeah, because I would have fun, and in many ways this reminds me of what I think the experience of reading Lord of the Rings would be like. I'm impressed. Thank you, Kali. Thank you. Of all the Et Ada who wandered Nirn, Trinamach was the strongest. He, for a very long time, fooled the Aldmeri into thinking that tears were the best response to the sundering. They cried and shamed our ancestors, especially the feminine Altmer. They even took the missing god's name in vain, calling his narratives into question. So one day, Boethia, prince of plots, precocious youth, tricked Trinamach to go into his mouth. Boethia talked like Trinamach for a while then, and gathered enough people to listen to him. Boethia showed them the lies of the Et Ada, the Aedra, and told them Trinamach was the biggest liar of all, saying all this with Trinamach's voice. Boethia told the mass before him the triangled truth. The triangled truth? He showed them with Mafala the rules of Sigic endeavor. He taught them how to build houses and what items they needed to bury in the corners. He demonstrated the right way to wear their skin. He performed the way to walk to achieve an exodus. Then Boethia relieved himself of Trinamach right there on the ground before them to prove all the things he said were the truth. It was easy then for his new people to become the Changed Ones. What the fuck? Children of the Sky. Well, that's new. Children of the Sky. Lucky us. Lucky us. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. It's a fresh one. Children of the Sky. Nords consider themselves to be the children of the sky. They call Skyrim the throat of the world because it is where the sky exhaled on the land and formed them. They see themselves as external outsiders and invaders, and even when they conquer and rule another people, they feel no kinship with them. The breath and the voice are the vital essence of a Nord. When they defeat great enemies, they take their tongues as trophies. These are woven into ropes and can hold speech like an enchantment. The power of a Nord can be articulated into a shout, like the ki of an Akaviri swordsman. The strongest of their warriors are called tongues. When the Nords attack a city, they take no siege engines or cavalry. The tongues form in a wedge in front of the gatehouse and draw in breath. When the leader lets it out in a ki, the doors are blown in and the axemen rush into the city. Shouts can be used to sharpen blades or to strike enemies. Look how cool this is. Look how all of this predates they actually use this in Skyrim. A common effect is this shout that knocks an enemy back, or the power of command. A strong Nord can instill bravery in men with his battle cry, or stop a charging warrior with a roar. The greatest of the Nords can call to specific people over hundreds of miles, and can move by casting a shout, appearing where it lands. The most powerful Nords cannot speak without causing destruction. They must go gagged and communicate through a sign language and through scribing runes. The further north you go into Skyrim, the more powerful and elemental the people become, and the less they require dwellings and shelters. Wind is fundamental to Skyrim and the Nords. Those that live in the far wastes always carry a wind with them. Use the Thum, Dovahkiin! The Yellow Book of Riddles. Cool. Yo, we're gonna make it. I'm gonna make it to the end here. And this is the last book alphabetically. Big, getting them edge books. Scooey. Truth is a three-edged sword. Ambassador Kosh. Babylon 5. Is Babylon 5 worth watching? That's part of... Babylon 5 is part of... Not... I don't even want to guess. Is it part of Stargate or is it part of Battlestar? Or is it neither? I can't tell. Or is it... Yeah, I don't know. Or is it something else entirely? I think it stands on its own. It does stand on its own. Interesting. Babylon 5 is best Star Trek. Is it Star Trek? I just kind of blind this evening. It's like Star Trek, but it's not Star Trek. It is its own thing. Interesting. Interesting. First season is a little rough, but by season 3 and 4, it's awesome. If you're going to watch anything from the 90s, watch Star Trek The Next Generation first. Yeah. You think it stands on its own, Austin? Next Generation, huh? My military issue Lolita outfit. Do you have a favorite Star Trek series, Austin? It sounds like somebody's house rule system inspired by the weirding system David Lynch came up for his version of Dune. That's a very specific reference. I really like David Lynch in general. I would like to see his version of Dune, even though I've heard it's like flawed. Hey, welcome, Dick Feynman. Subversive behavior is just theft, murder, and lying without an informed narrative to justify espionage, assassination, and corruption. We reading. Oh, big reading, Dick. Reading about all kinds of stuff. Okay. Okay. The Yellow Book of Riddles. For earnest pleasure and the strengthening of the mind, the author here collects all that he has learned of the art of riddling by dint of diligent study and through years of discourse with others of similar inclination. The posing and puzzling of riddles is a convention of polite aristocratic Western society. Nobles and social aspirants collect books of riddles and study them, hoping thereby to increase the chances of their appearing sly and witty in conversation. A metal neither black nor red, as heavy as man's golden greed. A metal neither black nor red, as heavy as man's golden greed. What do you do to stay ahead, with friend or arrow or steed? It's a metal. What you do to stay ahead. Oh, the answer is lead, but it's like spelled like lead. Oh dear, oh dear. A man says, if you lie to me, I will slay you with my sword. If you tell me the truth, I will slay you with a spell. What must you say to stay alive? I guess you say like, everything I say is the truth? Or everything I say is a lie? You will slay me with a sword? Oh, is what you say. Oh, smart. A Bosmer was slain. The Altmer claims the Dunmer is guilty. The Dunmer says the Khajiit did it. The Orc swears he didn't kill the Bosmer. Wait. Altmer claims the Dunmer is guilty. Dunmer says the Khajiit did it. Orc says he didn't do it. Khajiit says the Dunmer is lying. If only one of them speaks the truth, who killed the Bosmer? The Orc? Okay, cool. Great, we solved the riddles. Hooray! Wow, and then we've read those. I've read the annotated Anuad, I've read on Oblivion, I've read on the true nature of orcs.
What is this about?
I'm just reading your books. Galarian the Mystic? I'm just window shopping, okay? I'm browsing. We've read this. Okay, we've read this. Okay. We read A Brief History of the Empire. It was not brief. It was lengthy. And now we go
Wealth
upstairs.
beyond measure, Outlander.
And we read this book. Actually, we do this. We pick that lock. Useless. Okay. We've read this too. Oh, dweeb. Holy fucking shit. We read every book in this bookstore.
What is this about?
Latest rumors. Baladas dem Nevan Ihestri Dweemer ruins all over Vardenfell. I hear he's always looking for books on the Dweemer. My trade. I'm a bookseller. I buy and sell books. I missed some chat. For you, nostalgia dominates, making Next Generation your favorite. Oh, awesome. Okay, awesome. It's the one you watched as a kid. The weirding way is a thing in the book too. But Lynch's Dune just makes it into a more specific literal weapon. I need to watch Lynch's Dune now. I'm actually very interested about this. People will be coming to you for years for knowledge on Morrowind after this. Yeah, Sky High, you know, everybody needs their niche. The store owner takes offense to your intellectual theft. You know, I'm reading here. I buy and sell books. I also read books and know the sorts of things you read in books. I don't mind sharing what I know about Morrowind lore, and I'm happy to share a little advice. If you're interested, I can also suggest who to talk to if you want to know more about a subject. Who to talk to. Smiths know about weapons and armor and how to repair them. Clothiers know about clothes. Enchanters know about enchanting and enchanted items. Ashlanders know about Ashland's ecology and geography. Nobles can tell you about the great houses. Priests know about cults and shrines. Savants know about history, speechcraft, and language. Sorcerers know about Daedra. Barbarians know about creatures. Mages know about undead. Miners know about egg mines and Quama. Scouts know about places and how to reach them. Odai. The river Odai flows through the center of Balmora to the coast near Halwa Ode, Barter. Okay, so then she just has literally all of the books that we just read. Oh no. Okay, she has some extra books. I'm selling by and large our scrolls. The journal. Yeah, my brief histories of the Empire, all of that crap. All of it gets sold. Okay, because she has more books here. She's the whole Real Baron Zaya series. The whole series, chat. 1, 3, 4, and 5 we have not read. Yay. Pilgrim's Path. Pick Children, The Old Ways. We have not read. Brothers of Darkness. Hey, what other Scrolls games have you played? Hey, Red Candy Eater. I've played Oblivion and Skyrim, and now I am playing Balladeer's Fatebook. Now we are playing Morrowind in the most ridiculous and contrived way possible by reading every possible book we can. There's so many more here. This one isn't on here. The Arcturian Heresy. But welcome, Red Candy. This one is legit not on my list. Arcturian Heresy. Will we buy it? You plan on playing the 2 games Arena and Daggerfall after that? You know, it's kind of like, it's like, I make no guarantees about what game I play until I finish the game I'm playing, actually. And at the rate we're going, we'll be on this game for the rest of the year or something. Oh, we're going for it. Thank you, Risk Inverse. I appreciate you saying that. I'm glad at least somebody... appreciates it. I've read the guide to Vardenfell. We'll take the guides to Vivek's. Sadrith Marab. I've read... Nope, I don't want the one to Balmora. I've read the guide to Balmora. Yeah. I've not read Eldrune. I've not, I think, read The Great Houses. Galarian the Mystic we've read. Frontier Conquest. Will this game top Elden Ring? I mean, let's see. So I have a spreadsheet of all of these that I'm using to keep track of which ones we've read. And I just finally, I thought that she only sold stuff that's in her inventory, but she sells a shitload of stuff that is actually not like in her shop per se. Yeah, we did the whole biography of Baron Zaya, yeah. Holy fudge. That's 12 more books that we just are buying right now. That makes sense. Yeah, for sure, Kid Eater. I mean, I'm enjoying it a lot, but I mean, I just, you know, I usually swap around between different games, essentially. Holy cannoli. But, whoops. I was trying to press I to open our inventory. It's right click. And so we'll just keep jumping around. You know, from one experience to the next for, but yeah, but once we finish this game, we'll see where we are, but we'll probably, I won't like just go straight into Arena or straight into Daggerfall. Are you, are you partial to one or the other or both? Arena or Daggerfall? Have you read the books in the other games? No, I have not read the books in the other games. It is not a 100% all books, all Elder Scrolls, all books playthrough. Not quite yet. Christ. I have book paralysis. Chronicles of Niku left. All Elder Scrolls. Oh no, please. You know, my mind is already reeling from the decisions I have made. Okay, don't make me think about doing this, but like on a scale that's like 5 times larger. Number 90. The Chronicles of Niku left. This is our 55th book. You played Arena more than 300 hours. That is a lot of gameplay. Oof. Daggerfall less than 10? I heard that there was a new, I think, Unity build of Daggerfall or something. Arena is simpler and there's less content. Most people prefer Daggerfall. Interesting. You just had fun just running around and fighting. Hey, Sale. Welcome. Thank you, Austin. I'm glad. I appreciate you saying that. I know it's a different vibe, but we do all kinds of different vibes. We have our Kaizo redeem, okay, which nobody redeemed tonight. So clearly y'all didn't want to see Kaizo. You wanted to sit here and read these books for 4 hours. Minus 20 minutes for Super Mario. Okay, oh, we're gonna go a little bit farther. No, it's too late, Sale. No, it's... Well, if you redeem it, we can play it. If you redeem it, we can play it. It is after stream end time, but I do have tomorrow off, actually. You think the demo of Daggerfall might have been the first time a game had ever thrown me in jail? We could. I just don't know that I would clear the exit. I would want to clear the exit sale. I was so close. I was so close to being done with the books in this shop, and then we just bought 12 more. Including, unfortunately, the real Baron Zaya, which is one of the single longest books in the game. Series of books. Anyway. Chronicles of Niku left. This is a chronicle of events of historical significance. To the Dwemer, it would be a guaranteed short clear. Well. We do have that. That's fair. It's more silly than challenging. Let's see. Well, it's a shame that nobody is redeemed. I'm not trying to bait people redeeming this by saying it, but we will have to play it though. I really will. I just have to do the couple of steps to apply it to the Super Mario World thingamajig. I lack the points though. I know they've all gone to such a good cause in the form of so many recommended games. Okay, we're reading this book. This is gonna be our last book. We're reading it. This is a chronicle of events of historical significance to the Dwemer freehold colony of Niculeft. The text was probably recorded by an Altmer, for it is written in Aldmeris. 23. The death of Lord Elendum. It happened in second planting, PD 1220, that Lord Elendum, on a journey in the western uplands, came to Niculeft, and Protector Ankard and General Rikungthunk met him there, and Dalan Zanshu also came to the meeting. They talked together long by themselves, but this only was known of their business, that they were to be friends of each other. They parted, and each went home to his own colony. Bluthonk and her sons came to hear of this meeting, and saw in this secret meeting a treasonable plot against the councils, and they often talked of this among themselves. When spring came, the councils proclaimed, as usual, a council meet in the halls of Bams Amschand. The people accordingly assembled, hand-fasted with ale and song, drinking bravely, and much and many things were talked over at the drink table. And among other things were comparisons between different Dwemer, and at last among the councillors themselves. One said that Lord Elendum excelled his fellow councillors by far and in every way. At this, Councillor Bluthonk was very angry, and said that she was in no way less than Lord Elendum, and that she was eager to prove it. Instantly, both parties were so inflamed that they challenged each other to battle and ran to their arms. But some citizens who were less drunk and more understanding came between them and quieted them, and each went back to his colony, but nobody expected that they would ever meet in peace again together. But then, in the fall, Lord Elendum received a message from Councillor Bluthonk, inviting him to a parley at Hendor Stardoms, and all Elendum's kin and citizens strongly urged him not to come, fearing treachery. But Lord Elendum would not listen to counsel, not even to carrying with him his honor guard. And sadly it came to pass that, while traveling to Hendor Stardoms in Shinzinch Pass, a host of foul creatures set upon Lord Elendum and killed him and all of his party. And many citizens said thereafter that Bluthonk and her sons had conjured these beasts and set them upon Lord Elendum, but nothing was proven. Lord Elendum lies buried at a place called Leftunch. Fascinating. Okay. Okay, a little bit farther. The great houses of Morrowind. In modern times, Morrowind is ruled by 5 great houses. House Lalu. Wait a minute. Yeah. Have I read this? It's actually hard. For me to tell. It's actually hard for me to tell. Are Scrolls books? Yeah, that's a good question. Are Scrolls books? Okay, well, I'm fucking reading it. We're doing it. In modern times, Morrowind is ruled by... If we would just stop by sitting here and arguing about it and we just read it, we would be done by now. In modern times, Morrowind is ruled by 5 great houses. House Halalu, House Redoran, House Tilvani, House Induril, and House Drez. Only 3 of these houses have interests in Vardenfell. The 3 great houses on Vardenfell identify themselves by their traditional colors: red for Redoran, yellow for Halalu, and brown for Tilvani. Thus, members of House Halalu may be referred to collectively as yellows. I feel like scrolls count, but I don't have them tracked. They're actually... that's a separate... Okay, one thing at a time. Referred to collectively as yellows. The great houses' traditions derive from ancient Dunmer clan and tribes, but now function as political parties. Dunmer Great House membership is largely a matter of birth and marriage, but imperial colonists may also become retainers of a great house, or may be adopted into a great house. Initially, an outlander may gain status in a house as an oath-bonded hireling, pledging exclusive loyalty to a single house and forsaking ambitions with all other houses. Later, after faithful service and advancement in lower ranks, an outlander may seek adoption into a great house. Adoption and advancement to higher ranks in a great house requires that a great house counselor stand as sponsor for the candidate's character and loyalty. Finding a counselor to sponsor an outlander often involves performing a great service for the prospective sponsor. House Redoran is one of the 3 Dunmer great houses with holdings on Vardenfell. The Redoran prize the virtues of duty, gravity, and piety. Duty is to one's own honor and to one's family and clan. Gravity is the essential seriousness of life. Life is hard, and events must be judged, endured, and reflected upon with due care and earnestness. Piety is respect for the gods and the virtues they represent. A light, careless life is not worth living. Redoran settlements are designed in the Dunmer village style, built of local materials, with organic curves and undecorated exteriors, inspired by the landscape and by the shells of giant native insects. Redoran villages are typically centered on temple compounds and their courtyards, with huts and trade houses gathered around a central plaza, as in the West Gash village of Nisus. Aldrune, the Redoran district seat, is exceptional, with its distinctive feature being the colossal prehistoric bug shell that has been adapted as the house's council house. As a result of its close relationship with the imperial administration, House Halalu has emerged as politically and economically dominant among the great houses of Vardenfell and Morrowind. Halalu welcomes Invictus, welcomes imperial culture and law, imperial legions and bureaucracy, and imperial freedom of trade and religion. Halalu still honors the old Dunmer ways, the ancestors, the temple, and the noble houses, but has readily adapted to the rapid pace of change and progress in the imperial provinces. Unlike the other great houses, which are largely hostile to non-Dunmer, House Halalu aspires to live in peace and harmony with the other races, and to share in the growth and prosperity of the empire. Halalu public buildings, trade houses and craft guilds, manors and council halls are designed as simple, multi-storied buildings, roughly rectangular in plan, featuring arched entryways and modest decorated exteriors. More modest one-story private dwellings follow the same plan, except with less decoration. Halalu plantation estates resemble temple compounds, with walled precincts enclosing outbuildings for craftsmen and servants, dominated by a grand manor residence in a place of a temple shrine. The wizard lords of House Telvanni have traditionally isolated themselves, pursuing wisdom and mastery in solitude, but certain ambitious wizard lords, their retainers and clients, have entered wholeheartedly into the competition to control and exploit Vardenfell's land and resources, building towers and bases all along the eastern coast. According to Telvanni principles, the powerful define the standards of virtue, and the Telvanni are unwilling to allow the ambitious Halalu to dominate Vardenfell's untapped resources by default. Telvanni architecture is dominated by Wizard's Tower, a fantastic organic form grown and sculpted from stems and caps, and root-like holdfasts of the giant native mushrooms. Telvanni villages are comprised of smaller mushroom pods hollowed out for craftsmen and commoners. Open-air markets often include the giant cages displaying the wares of the slave masters. House Induril and House Drez are the 2 great houses without holdings or interest in Vardenfell. Induril district occupies the heartland of Morrowind, comprising the land south of the Inner Sea and the eastern coast. The city of Almalexia is located in Induril district, and the Induril are orthodox and conservative supporters of the temple and temple authority. House Induril is openly hostile to imperial culture and religion, and preserves many traditional Dunmer customs and practices in defiance of imperial law. Dress district is in the south of Morrowind, bordering the swamps and marshes of Blackmarsh. House Dress is an agrarian agricultural society, and its large salt rice plantations rely completely on slave labor for their economic viability. Always firm temple supporters, House Dress is hostile to imperial law and culture, and in particular opposed to any attempts to limit the institution of slavery. Turns out the Cylons did not have a plan. Alright, this is G. Oh, it actually is in here. 119. Oh, lucky us. Great Houses of Morrowind. Well, goody us. How lucky we are that we read it. The guides are in here too. Oh, nice. The guides are in here. Oh, sick. Okay, actually, wait. So I read the Guide to Balmora. Confirmed. That is a yes. And I read the Guide to Vardenfell. Confirmed. That is a yes. Good. Good. Which means we have Aldrune, Sadrith Moran, Vivek to do. Yeah. And then we have... I can't. I just can't. The Balladeer's Fake Book. Okay, let's read this. This portfolio contains the lyrics to many popular Western drinking songs, including, among others, Bold Admiral Reichten, The Golden Grove, The 12 Night Drunk, Island Lads Down from the Mountain. Where is it? There. Beans, comma, Bloody Beans, Olga's Smicket, Black Fridas, The Imperial Volunteer, Down by the Ginger Garden, Roll Bretonia Roll, The Isle of Somerset, Dark Blooded Foes, Dawn and Dusk, Farewell to Colovia, Wind and Rain, Green and Gracious Land, The Jolly Archer, Sorrow Waters, Inkit Hinkit, Pilgrim on the Road, I'm Glad I'm Not No Orc. Yikes. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. This brings us up to 59 books read. 59 books. 59 books with a B. Let me just sell back a couple of the things that we've read here. We read Chronicles. We read Great Houses. We read that. Okay, great. This leaves us for next time, at the moment at least, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books for next time. Oh, we can't read Baron Zaya. It's way too long. How long is this? Read this. The Old Ways by Solaris, the Lore Master. We who know the old ways are well aware of the existence of a spiritual world invisible to the unenlightened. Just as one living in a kingdom but unaware of the political machinations underneath may see a new tax or battle preparation as the caprices of fortune, many observe floods, famines, and madness with helpless incomprehension. This is deplorable. As the great Quilian Darnazan moaned, the power of ignorance can shatter ebony like glass. What, after all, is the origin of these spiritual forces that move the invisible strings of Mundus? Any neophyte of Artaeum. Hey, Skill.
I'm so fucking stressed out from running my pet lizard's Instagram account.
It's a lot.
I'm about to have a nervous breakdown.
For real. Any neophyte of Artaeum knows that these spirits are our ancestors, and that while living, they too were bewildered by the spirits of their ancestors. And so on, back to the original Akarii. The Daedra and gods to whom the common people turn are no more than the spirits of superior men and women whose power and passion granted them great influence in the afterworld. Certainly this is our truth and our religion, but how does it help us in our sacred duty of Selifernse, or providing grave and faithful counsel to lesser men? Primarily, it is easy to grasp the necessity both of endowing good men with great power and making powerful men good. We recognize the multiple threats that a strong tyrant represents, breeds cruelty which feeds the Daedra Boethia, and hatred which feeds the Daedra Varanima. If he should die, having performed a particularly malevolent act, he may go to rule in oblivion, and worst of all, he inspires other villains to thirst after power and other rulers to embrace villainy. Knowing this, we have adopted patience in our dealings with such despots. They should be crippled, humiliated, impoverished, imprisoned. Other counselors may advocate assassination or warfare, which, aside from its spiritual insignificance, is expensive and likely to inflict at least as much pain on the innocents as the brutish dictator. No, we are intelligence gatherers, dignified diplomats, not revolutionaries. How then are our counselors faithful? We are faithful only to the old ways. It is essential always to remember the spiritual world while keeping our eyes open in the physical one. Performing the rites of Moawita on the 2nd of Hearthfire and the Vigild on the 1st of Second Seed are essential means of empowering salutary spirits and debilitating unclean ones. How then are we at once faithful to those we counsel and to the Isle of Artaeum? Perhaps the sage Taherete said it best. In Mundus, conflict and disparity are what brings change, and change is the most sacred of the 11 forces. Change is the force without focus or origin. It is the duty of the disciplined Psijic, enlightened one, to dilute change where it brings greed, gluttony, sloth, ignorance, prejudice, cruelty. Here, Taherete lists the rest of the 111 prodigalities, and to encourage change where it brings excellence, beauty, happiness, and enlightenment. Hey, Subi. As such, the faithful counsel has but one master, his mind. If the man the Psijic counsels acts wickedly and brings Owagnithir,
ahoy there,
bad change, and will otherwise not be counseled, it is the Psijic's duty to counterbalance the Owagnithir by any means necessary, emphasis mine. A student of the old ways may indeed ally himself to a lord, but it is a risky relationship. It cannot be stressed enough that the choice be wisely made. Should the lord refuse wise counsel and order the Psijic, to use Taherete's outmoded word, to perform an act contrary to the teachings of the old ways, there are few available options. The Psijic may obey, albeit unwillingly, and fall prey to the dark forces against which he has devoted his life. The Psijic may abandon his lord, which will bring shame on him in the Isle of Artaeum, and so may never be allowed home again. Or the Psijic may simply kill himself. Wow, that's a lovely, lovely book there, Mr. Risa. I'm sorry. To be clear, that was the old ways. Like, actually losing it, it was the old ways. Offer. Goodbye. That was the old ways. Right? Which I did not mark down, actually. Marking down stuff in our spreadsheet. Whoops. Oh, there. Yay! Hooray! Yeah, Subi, we're reading books. We marked the great houses. We did mark the great houses.
Yay.
We have a couple more guides. Arcturian Heresy is long. I cannot read the Real Baron Zaya. The Real Baron Zaya is going to be, it's going to take like an hour. You shall be the most learned adventurer. No, I appreciate you checking, Vic. You know what, before my voice totally dies out, I'm going to go ahead and now pick us a person to raid. We will be back on Saturday with more reading and actually some Morrowind gameplay if that interests you. So do show up for that on Saturday. We stream Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Tomorrow we will have movie night in the iios Discord if you feel like showing up and hanging out. Holy cow. God, I feel like I'm hungover. It's like I have a hangover from all of this reading, all of these words. This bookstore was a Kaizo level of Morrowind reading. Oh my lord, it was truly the Dark Souls of reading. Yeah, thank you all for being here. We're gonna raid. You know what we're gonna raid? We're gonna raid friend of the stream, Claire Burr. Claire is a mod in a lot of channels. Claire's a mod in my channel, and is just a really lovely person. Please give Claire a follow as we raid her. She's just chatting right now. We'll see what's going on. But Claire's a super giant sweetheart, and I'm really happy to have the chance to go and raid her.